PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Drop off. Morant. Oh, yes.
And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
Good protection. Aaron Bateman downfield. And he has got it for the touchdown.
What a tremendous Tuesday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and X, Instagram. Hello. Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Get in it on the app, or maybe just later on you're listening on the podcast. However you consume it, we appreciate it. It's always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, and it's Tuesday. Lotto Max. 80 million. I think that's the biggest it's ever been. 80 mil. Get your tickets at playalberta.ca. There's also 14 max millions up for grabs. So best of luck at playalberta.ca. Hopefully you win. And then you celebrate. I would hope anyway. My goodness, you're going to win that. You better be celebrating. That would be fantastic. We're celebrating our lineup today, as it is it's fantastic. Stephen Ellis will join us from Daily Faceoff. You got the big prospects game going tonight. If you're a fan, now I know the Oilers don't have a high draft pick, but you never know. Maybe they'll make a trade as we did last year at the draft. You never know. And a very unique tournament game, not a tournament, going tonight. So we'll talk to Stephen about that. Andy Petrillo will be by from CBC Sports, One Soccer, NHL on Amazon. We'll talk about that. Dave McCarthy will be by in the 3 o'clock hour. Mike Russell will join us. An awful story this past weekend in mixed martial arts at the River Cree, where combatant died. And we'll talk about it. Hearing some not very good things about this whole event and what went on. So we'll talk to Mike about that. Struddy will be by, Spec, DVD. Of course, Terry Ryan will join us for a full 2 hours today for old TR. So we'll discuss that. As always, you'll be a big part of the show. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear 24/7, you can order it at ewel.ca. Also, we are less than a week away. The month of giving begins next Monday. And I think all the days are full except one. I think I might have room for one. I'm waiting on a few, but hey, first come, first serve. So if you're a company and you got something that's very unique and you think they'll be popular, it'll generate a lot of bids, want to donate and help raise us some money for the month of giving, send me an email, gregor@sports1440.ca. gregor@sports1440.ca. We got a few new things this season. Some of the classics that has always been golf memberships and furnace. We've got a few dinners with some special guests this season. And as always, a few other things. We always like a few new things for your home. I try to look at things that experiences or something that a lot of people need anyway. So you might as well buy it and have it all go to charity. It's fantastic. Home entertainment packages, all sorts of fun stuff. So we should have the first week stuff up tomorrow on the website if you'd like to plan ahead. And then we'll try to get it up the Thursday before the following week. So you have some ideas on what's coming up for you to bid on. We will have, you know what I love about our audience? I've already had a few people text in, hey, Gregor, are you doing the Pyramid of Giving? Yes, we will do the Pyramid of Giving on Fridays, as we always have for the last few years. People get involved, $100, $200, $500, $1,000. It's great. And we raise a lot of money. Charities at this time of the year in dire need. The Holiday Hamper, of course, Santa's Anonymous, Christmas Bureau, Operation Friendship Senior Society, and many others. So if you want to help out, that'll be coming up on. And sorry, the MMA death was at the Enoch Rec Center. My bad, not at River Cree. So my apologies. Yes, it was out at the Enoch Rec Center, and not good. Just I wasn't there, so I can't comment. We're going to talk to some people who were, and just on, who is sanctioning these events? That to me is the biggest question, right? Like you have a governing body. Are people that are putting these on, are they qualified to put them on? Do you have the proper officials? Do you have the proper safety measures in place? It's a serious question. Like it's, you know what? As Jelena Marjanovic told me once, she goes, you don't play boxing. You don't play mixed martial arts. It's like you play hockey. It's different. It's very different. And so we'll touch on that. We got a lot of texts coming in. Some of you were there and saying it wasn't great. And yeah, I couldn't imagine. Yeah. So we'll get into that with Mike Russell a little bit later on in the show today. Mike always goes deep dives into that investigative journalist when it comes to mixed martial arts stories. You know what? He did a lot of articles and research years on the Tim Hague fiasco, unfortunately, and what happened leading up to that, and why realistically he probably shouldn't have been cleared to fight, according to Mike, and all the guidelines and the rules that are in place. So I know Mike's done a lot of background work on this. I know it's only been a few days, but he's all over it. So we'll have that in the 3 o'clock hour. Edmonton Oilers practice again today. I had a little bit of a skills drill. I put the video out on my socials if you saw it, and just an example of some of the things they were doing. I know you've seen those stick handling. I don't even know what you want to call it. It's like a black piece of equipment. It's got a blade on it. You can deke underneath it. You can deke in front of it, and lots of minor hockey associations in different places have these sorts of things. And so they were using that, just stick handling around it, very quick, not overly hard. But I think one of the misconceptions sometimes is that working on skills is like easy. Not if you're because if you're working on the skill properly, in a lot of cases you want to be doing the stick handling at full speed. Right? And you're cutting, you're curving, you're weaving. And that's why when they do the skills drills, it doesn't last very long. Surprising. Because I've talked to trainers about them. Like, man, there's a lot of torque and work going on in your core when you're doing a lot of these drills. Rather than sometimes if you're just doing a line rush, skating up and down the ice, it's actually easier. So they feel that at times, one of the biggest mistakes they make is when they have, quote, a skills day, even at minor hockey levels, that it goes on too long, and the kids get really fatigued, and after a while there's no benefit to it. So there's an interesting conversation, but so we'll talk about that. Oilers will have the day off tomorrow. The sick bug still around Derek Ryan. Kapanen weren't on the ice today, so they had 9 forwards and 7 defensemen and both goalies. Obviously Arvidsson and Hyman still not skating. Don't expect them to play in Utah or Colorado. Best case scenario right now is they will be in the lineup, one of them potentially next Tuesday, a week today, in Vegas when the Oilers wrap up the 3-game road trip where it goes to Utah, Colorado, and Vegas. And then they'll come home in December, and they're home the entire month except for one game, well, up until Christmas, except one game where they go to Minnesota for a one-day road trip. They play Tuesday at home, then they'll jet out to Minnesota on Wednesday, play Thursday, come home, likely a day off the Friday, and then they play Saturday again. So for those of you that are going to games, you'll have a lot of options in December, and the opportunity for the Oilers to get a little bit of home cooking and start to become more of a dominant team on home ice like they were last year. The Oilers had the 3rd best home ice record in the NHL last year, scored the most goals in the NHL. Now, they did just light up the Rangers for 6, and maybe that will continue. Some news that doesn't directly involve the Elks, but I think it illustrates exactly where their focus is. I fully expect Tre Ford to be re-signing with the Edmonton Elks. I've said that from day one. I thought it was a priority for this organization. Vernon Adams got traded today to the Calgary Stampeders, and he'll be the starting quarterback there. They send away a second-round selection in 2025, a fourth-round selection in 2025, and a second selection in the they got what did they get? Calgary got they gave up 3 picks and then they got 1 back. Looks like from BC to make this deal. So not as big of a deal. I saw people saying, "Oh, Vernon Adams going to command a lot." Not really. There wasn't a lot of teams open to taking him. So Calgary takes him. They give up some picks, but they get a few back. Plus, they get Vernon Adams in the deal. And I know there's some people in Edmonton thought, "Hey, maybe the Elks will go after Vernon Adams." I never really thought that was a possibility. And today it obviously comes true. I do think the Elks will have Tre Ford. I think they will want to put him in a position so he knows if he plays well, nothing's gift wrapped and given to you, but they will support him and give him every opportunity to succeed as a starting quarterback, as they should, because the numbers don't lie. Unless you like to rank one game infinitely higher than other games, I have no idea how anybody can say Tre Ford isn't deserving of being the starting quarterback for the Edmonton Elks. Who's better? Who's available that's better? Please don't say Bethel Thompson, because the numbers don't lie, baby. The numbers don't lie. So I do think the Elks, though, would like a veteran quarterback who can help them in film room. There's still lots to learn as a young QB. Right, you have support from your teammates. That's a big benefit. And also someone that's push might be the wrong word because some people deem that as a negative, but just knowing that I can't just slack off and whatever I do, I'm automatically going to get start after start. You want to know that, hey, there's a capable veteran here who can go in and sometimes maybe should go in. Maybe you're struggling for a game or two. He can go in for a half. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean progression as a quarterback means he's never allowed not to start every snap, but he should be the starter for the majority of games next season, as long as he's healthy. Connor Halley is with us today. Also, Timo Meier, they came down quickly. He had suspended 1 game for cross-checking Leroux in the face last night. The Chargers and the Ravens, pretty entertaining Monday night football game, and came down to the Ravens getting the win, Cons.
Yeah, better team won for sure. They were the more physical team. They really established the run, and the Chargers just could not stop them. Derrick Henry kind of looked like the old King Henry, and hey, 24 carries. The longer the game goes on, he has that tendency to kind of wear defenses down. And he certainly did that. And you got to give John Harbaugh, credit. The 4th and 1 calls, a couple obvious ones, but that one at the end of the first half was very gutsy inside their own 20. Obviously, knowing you have Derrick Henry, probably a little easier to just go for those ones. But yeah, very physical performance by the Baltimore Ravens. And Quentin Johnston, get out of here.
Why? Because he couldn't catch?
Yes. 2 grade A drops and another he probably should have caught. Probably cost a few people fantasy football games. Could have cost the Chargers the game. He was awful.
He was not very good. But he was healthy, Cons, which at the start of the year, you were like, hey, I just want guys who are healthy.
Yeah. Well, I did say that. I said,
yeah,
those guys for 18 games is better than Mike Williams and Keenan Allen for 12 games or 8 games. Yeah, he was healthy, but it might have been better if he wasn't last night.
Oh, well, there you go.
Just throw to Lad McConkey.
Yeah, no, McConkey, hey, he can catch the ball. There's no doubt about that. And Chargers are still in a good position, though,
absolutely,
to make the playoffs. But we're down to the final few weeks of fantasy and some big games coming up. I was looking, though, like there's a few teams, the NFL schedule. Like I remember when people used to mock the CFL because they would play 2 games in 5 days. Have you looked at what's coming up or for a few of the teams, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Texans, and a few others? Like playoff-bound teams. The Chiefs they're playing, them and the Steelers are playing 3 games in 11 days. 3 in 11. They're playing the 21st, then again on Christmas Day, and then again like 6 days later. It's nuts.
Yeah, it seems like every year we get that, right? The Thanksgiving games obviously make that a little more common out, the 6 games.
No. It's up to Christmas time, I'm talking. It's Christmas time here. We're just talking. They're playing on the 21st of December. Now they're playing games on Christmas in the middle of the week. Like, to me, it's a little gluttonous from the NFL. When they try to claim player safety and then you schedule that, give me a break. There is zero thought process at all about player safety when you're going to ask teams to play on the 21st of December, the 25th of December, and then again, and then the 14th, the 20th, the 15th, the 21st, and the 25th.
Yeah,
that's what they're playing. Like, it's asinine to do that.
Yeah, that's a quick turnaround. Going Saturday to Wednesday, I guess equivalent of a Sunday to Thursday. Money talks, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that game's on Netflix. Is that the one? One of the Christmas Day games is.
I didn't even look at that.
Beyonce at halftime.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, you take away enough family time. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. Like, you've always had Thanksgiving. That's fine. Now they got to do it on Christmas Day. Like, give me a break. That's where, honestly, fans should just say, screw you. I'm out. Right? It should. Some won't, but you should. Otherwise, they just keep force feeding stuff like that. Like, let's be real. You don't need that. A few other things we are going to discuss. Now, I touched on it a little bit today, but I broke it down the numbers even more so. It's no surprise that Leon Draisaitl is near the top of the goal scoring ranks in the NHL. He has, since the 18-19 season, he scored the second most goals in the NHL, 288 if we're including this season. Only Austin Matthews has more at 299. Now, Draisaitl's never won the Richard Trophy. He's finished second a few times. He's finished in the top 4 in 5 of the last 6 years. Last year was, quote, a down year for him with only 41 goals, and he finished 14th in goal scoring in the NHL. But he's right near the top again, and he's doing it all on even strength. He's got 14 of his 16 goals are even strength. The Oilers' power play, as everybody knows, is in the ditch right now. It needs to get better. And I was rewatching a few games today. There's a few tendencies I've noticed, specifically from the teams, and what they're just saying, we are not getting beat. Like, they have really focused on not allowing that cross seam pass that the Oilers just used to feast on, right? McDavid would circle around, whether it's McDavid or Nugent Hopkins, you'd come through the lower seam, boom, to Draisaitl. That passes, it's basically teams are saying, we're not giving that up. All right, well, you adapt. Now, the other one they've really focused on is they didn't want Hyman down low. Now, he's missed the net, so they haven't been as successful down there because he's had chances. He missed the net. But what they're doing is they're saying, we'll let Nugent Hopkins shoot, and he ain't shooting. And if he is, he ain't scoring. Right? And then they're trying to say, hey, we'll let Bouchard shoot. Well, those guys, the last few years, have been arguably the fourth, well, not arguably, they've been the fourth and fifth options on the power play. Well, now the opposing teams are trying to make him 1 and 2. It's a problem. Now, the Oilers got to figure it out, but it's 22 games. At some point, you might have to look at tweaking something more, and I mean, like personnel potentially. So we'll see. But Leon Draisaitl, who of course has the most goals in the power play the last 5 years, he's like, don't worry, I can't score in the power play. I'll score at even strength. So he leads the NHL with 14 even strength goals. But it's the fact that Leon Draisaitl is right up there when it comes to the Selke through the first quarter of the season. If you look up Nico Heischer's number, you look up Barkov's number, Draisaitl's got better numbers. Draisaitl, so, and here's the thing. So you remember, if you're old enough, you'll remember in the 80s, the Selke was always guys like Bob Gainey, Guy Carbonneau, Dirk Graham. Right now, Troy Murray did win it once with 99 points. But only twice in the history, two players in the history of the Selke have won the Selke scoring 100 points. Random trivia. Don't look it up. Do you know who they are? 2 players who won the Selke scoring 100 points. There's only 2 of them. So historically, the high offensive guys haven't won it. And I get it. They're like, hey, we got to spread awards out. But now with more available data and the fact that in the 80s, the third line used to play against the other team's top line. Well, now it's top line versus top line the majority of the time. So if you can limit the other team's scoring and you're a top end guy, you're going against the other top end guys, you're doing a pretty damn good job. Right? Like, no offense, the third line guys aren't shadowing. There's no Steve Kaspers, etc. in the way the game's played today. And if you look at Austin Matthews, who was third in Selke voting last year, Reinhart was fourth. They were first and second in goals in the NHL. So I think they're opening the door to say, hey, if you put up good defensive numbers and you're lead offensively, we're not going to punish you anymore. And so far this season, that's where Draisaitl is, because Leon Draisaitl's numbers have been very good. He leads the NHL amongst forwards at shot for percentage at 63.73. That means he's out shooting the opponents 253 to 144. He's outscored them 27-17, 5 on at that even strength. That's 61.36. And he's got an expected goals of just under 57. And if you look at last year's numbers for the guys who, Barkov, Reinhart, Matthews, expected goals 56 to 59. Shot for was anywhere from 58 to 57. And now goals for, they were all above 60, with Barkov being the highest at 67. Well, Barkov got injured a bit, and he's just slightly above 50% this year, 16 to 14. Right? Nico Hischier's had a good year. Jordan Stahl's had a good year. Adam Lowry, yeah. But Leon Draisaitl should be in consideration. No question. No question in my mind if you actually dig into his numbers and how he's played. And so I chatted with McDavid quick, and I'm going to tell you later on this hour what McDavid said the best 3 attributes for a forward in the defensive zone that makes it hard to penetrate and attack. So I had a really good conversation with McDavid. We'll get to that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle,
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight, because dine-in is open.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantor. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantor.com.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's #1.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Wiener. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree.
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
It might just be the only word hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
Celebrating the holidays following the loss of a loved one is challenging and filled with difficult emotions. Together, we can find solace, share memories, and support each other. You're invited to join Connolly McKinley Funeral Homes for a candlelight service of remembrance and hope this Sunday, 2 p.m. at our St. Albert location, and Sunday, December 8th, 2 p.m. at our downtown location. Food bank donations gratefully accepted. To register, visit connolly-mckinley.com or call 780-422-2222.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win, and you could win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
With black curtains near the station. Black roof country, no gold pavement, tired starling.
227, welcome back. Still no one's got it. I like it when we have a trivia question. We had a few Steve Yzerman guesses, Patrice Bergeron. Patrice Bergeron never scored 80 points in NHL season. Very good two-way player. Right? Probably better known for his defense than his offense. But he was a solid offense player, but never scored 80 points. Steve Yzerman did win the Selke, but not when he scored 100 points. So I like that no one's looking it up, but the answer's Sergei Fedorov. He did it twice, won the Selke and 100 points. And the first was Doug Gilmour in 92-93 when he had 127 points and won the Selke for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there hasn't been a lot of 100-point guys winning the Selke. But I'm telling you, if you look at Draisaitl's numbers through the first quarter of the season, he deserves strong consideration. And last year, the voters said, hey, you know what? We're not going to punish you if you're a great offensive player, if you have good defensive metrics. And now there's more of them that you can look at and you can see it. Goals, goal for share, shot for share, expected goals, all that stuff. You know, I think faceoffs matter for sure. And Draisaitl over the last 7 years has taken the 5th most faceoffs in the NHL. He takes a ton of them. So, and lots in the D zone for sure. So it's only a quarter of the season. There's a long way to go, but Draisaitl's numbers have been very, very good, both offensively and defensively. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. Driving safety and comfort. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. As we are joined once again by a gentleman who, man, I'm not sure there's anybody who watches more prospects on a regular basis than Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff, and of course he is in to watch the big event tonight in Ontario as the CHL USA Prospects game, the first of its kind, will go tonight. Steve, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, and I got a story for you, actually. On my wedding day back a month ago, we had a bunch of downtime, and you talked about kind of watching a ton of hockey. Naturally, I had to watch Team Pakistan play their international hockey debut on my wedding, so that will always be a major part of that day for me.
Yeah, now that wasn't between photos. That was probably while you were getting ready. Your wife was somewhere, or your soon-to-be wife was getting dressed. It wasn't between the ceremony and the reception, was it?
It was no. It was first thing in the morning, but okay. Man, I could have been convinced.
Yeah. No, that's good. Team Pakistan. Oh my God, that's too funny. Now this event going on tonight for Oiler fans are loving it because they got no hockey to watch all week until Friday. So they'll probably be intrigued. I know Edmonton most likely isn't going to have a top pick, but this is the first of its kind, CHL versus USA Prospects. What do you make of it, and what's it shaping up like?
This is awesome. Like, Dan, the players are kind of billing it internally as, Canada versus USA, because we don't get to see Canada and USA at their best at the U18 level, basically in any other event. Because the Holenka, it's Canada bringing their best team and USA bringing a B team. And Canada doesn't always have their best players available to them at the Under-18 World Championship. So this is a good opportunity to kind of get a very good look at the top prospects for both teams. And a little bit unfortunate that this is kind of a weaker U.S. team than had this tournament been held a year ago or 2 years ago. But in terms of showcase events, you can't beat a combination like this.
So looking at it for people who maybe aren't up to date on the prospects, Steve, who are the must watches tonight?
Well, see, it's interesting because the top prospect in the draft this year is James Higgins, but he's playing college, so he won't be at this event. But among guys that will be, we're looking at Porter Martone and Matthew Schaefer, two guys from the CHL that are looking like serious bets to go number one. Michael Misa right now is playing at a goal per game pace, and he's on pace to put up more goals than guys like Connor McDavid and Patrick Kane and all these top prospects that we've seen come through the OHL in the last couple of years, well, I guess last couple of decades. So those are the guys everyone's looking for. On the Americans, it's William Moore, who never lived in the United States before he joined the United States, but his dad is American, which has allowed him to play there. And I also say keep an eye on Charlie Trethaway, a guy who could be drafted late in the first round. Very good puck-moving defenseman. Has had a bit of a difficult year, but could be interesting. And actually, I'll give you one more. LJ Mooney. He's the cousin of Logan Cooley. He's 5'6", so he's a little small, but one of the most skilled players in this year's draft class.
Okay. Now, it's always interesting because the last, I would say 4 or 5 years in the draft, there's been lots of teams are drafting guys in their second year of eligibility. You know, they're bypassing some 17-year-olds just because we got an extra year of viewing now. I like these guys. So you look at players who were overlooked last year in their draft class, Stephen, who are now, in draft, I guess, +1, who you think are going to be guys to look out for in this upcoming draft and are having pretty good years.
Oh, that's a tough one. Off the hand, I can't give you one. I think it's still kind of early to get a good read on who's doing that. But I think, it just in the general, it is a good draft strategy, especially the teams kind of learned in COVID. It's like that extra year of eligibility is valuable in a lot of cases because players are still growing, still developing, and still looking for ice time. I will say, lots of talk here about the draft changing the age to being 19-year-olds being drafted as first-year players. So that could make it a bit more interesting.
Hey, Steve, I have been pounding that drum for anybody who listens for a decade, and I've done all the research on it. You can keep it so you can, because the argument's going to be, well, what about the Connor McDavids and those rare guys who are ready at 18? I'm like, no problem. You can keep 5 slots. If those players, if you want to be taken in the first 5 picks, knock your socks off. And because the truth is there's only 2, maybe 3 true 18-year-olds that play in the NHL every year anyway. There's not even 5. So we don't need that. But if somebody is going to try to fight the labor laws, that's the way around it. And I think it helps everybody. The issue is how do they could have integrated it during COVID. It would have been the easiest way to do it. Right. But now how do you do it unless you kind of cut back at 6 months and say, okay, we'll send the cutoff for next year at March 30th. And then the year after that, it'll be, December 31st.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how it's done. And of course, they're choosing right now to start doing practice announcement in this range. But I'd say from talking to people around the league, it seems like no one's really sure on how to make that format work. But in terms of that, like you said, not a lot of guys going straight to the NHL. Like you look at this year's draft, obviously Celebrini for sure. Jet Luchenko made it there to start, but then he was sent down. It's a very rare situation. Not everyone's going to be Connor Bedard of the draft. Not everyone's going to be Macklin Celebrini. So I think you can afford to be patient.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think being patient is actually better. I've seen, like, I was talking about Leon Draisaitl last segment. Leon Draisaitl wasn't ready in the NHL as a teenager. And he's now one of the best players in the game. He's won the Hart Trophy. He's top 4 scoring all time and playoff scoring, yada, yada. But he wasn't ready as a teenager. And he's a pretty big dude. Like the NHL is not a teenager league. And I think the longer you wait for the draft, it's better. Steve, I know you cover a lot of the prospect. What do you make of the rule change in NCAA? Do you think this is there going to be any a significant negative impact from this decision in your eyes?
I think for sure the negative impact will be things like what happens to the BCHL, especially the teams that just moved over from the AJHL. What are going to happen to the USHL, where a lot of those players are already starting to move over. The U Sports, there's still going to be some of those programs that are super programs, like University of Alberta is going to be good, UNB out east. But what's going to happen to some of the smaller teams that already have a tough time attracting talent? I think what's going to be interesting is seeing guys. What if Gavin McKenna next year decides he wants to go play in the NCAA? That would be pretty interesting, and sounds like something that could definitely happen. So I think, there's still a lot of questions to be answered at this point that I don't think anyone knows the answer to, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of ripple effects where some leagues are going to be screwed, but for the most part, it feels like it's pro player, and that's kind of what you're hoping for.
Now, in the case of Gavin McKenna, because when you sign in the WHL, you can get released to go to the NHL, but I don't know if they have to release you to go to NCAA, correct? Well, they never had to before, so I don't know how that works now.
That's the thing. I don't even know if the teams really know at this point. It's still kind of a lot of questions. And from talking to people around the league, even just at this event the last 2 days, a lot of teams aren't sure what's next. And that's kind of both exciting and scary at the same time.
Stephen Ellis joins us from Daily Faceoff. Tonight, of course, you have the CHL versus USA Prospects game. You can check it out on TV, Oilers fans, as you're waiting until Friday for the next Oilers game. This is the first one. Are you expecting this to become an annual event for certain, Steve?
Yeah, well, right now they've got the 4-year deal with the WHL hosting it next year, QMJHL after that. And, I think the big question here is what's going to happen with the overall landscape. Like, what happens if a lot of the U.S. NCDP kids start going to the CHL? Like, is it going to be even competitive at that point? So we're going to have to see. Right now, I'd say the timing of this, like I said earlier, feels like this should have been here a couple years ago, but I guess it is what it is. But for now, it's supposed to be an annual event. We'll last that way. I guess we'll see how successful it is.
Yeah, that's the key. They're going to look at TV numbers. I'm assuming it's going to be a big draw in the building tonight. I'm assuming it's sold out?
No, actually, from what I've seen, it seems to be less than a lot of London Knights games.
Really? Oh, okay.
Well, no London Knights players here today. No Oshawa players when the series moves to Oshawa tomorrow. So that probably doesn't help. But from what I'm seeing, it's definitely not going to be a sellout.
Yeah, well, that's one where maybe the organizers, you have to have a smart plan, and you'll know at the start of the year for the most part which are some of the guys that are playing in this. So put it in cities who have one of those players on their team.
Brampton would have been perfect because we knew that they had a guy who was going to potentially go in the first overall. They have a goalie that's potentially going to go in the first round, and it's a new market, which would have been a really good opportunity there. But going to London and Oshawa, two really big hockey markets of fantastic arenas, you could do a lot worse than that.
Stephen Allen joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Steve, I know you obviously you're scouting lots and it's early in the year, but I do want to, have you had a chance to see a few London Knight games? And if so, what about Sam O'Reilly?
Yeah, Sam O'Reilly is definitely a player that isn't going out there and blowing the doors off offensively at all, but I think he's still playing a really good two-way game, and that's what you're looking for here. He's not going to be a first-line player. Might not even be a second-line player. Could he be a very good third-line player? Yes. Can he go out there and kill penalties? I think so. He makes himself so hard to take the puck off of, and he gets to play some pretty good players on London. Guys like Easton Cowan, Denver Barkey. There's a lot of talent up front, but I think what you're still just seeing, from the playoffs last year on, is a guy that he wants to be just a pain in the butt to take the puck off of, and he's very strong with it on a stick. And I think, again, I've been high on him since the Oilers drafted him, and I still think there's a lot to like there.
What about William Nickel? He's having himself a pretty good year in London.
Yeah, a guy that kind of was not a lot of people were keeping an eye on, but I think, just overall building some strength there is good, very smart player, and just overall a lot to like there. So, I've been clear. I don't think the Oilers have a very good prospect pool, and it is what it is, but another guy to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, and it's one where when you give away a lot of picks and you're not drafting high, it's hard to have a great prospect pool. That's just the reality of prospects, right? You can load up on second, third, fourth, and fifth rounders, but you're going to have to hit a few home runs. And now, we had Rich Winter on. We were talking about how the organization still probably could do a better job of scouting, right? Like there's a reason. There's got to be some reasons why certain teams consistently are hitting on more players than other teams, right? Boston has done really well. The Dallas Stars in recent memory have actually been killing it in almost every round. And, Tampa Bay built their team on unreal drafting. So it's definitely doable. You just got to get the right people in there to do it.
Yeah, you really got to rely on your scouting departments and making sure that everyone's looking at everything out there. And, I know one group that got criticized a lot was the Toronto Maple Leafs or some of the off-the-board picks, like Easton Cowan, where most people didn't have him even as a second-round pick, and they took him at 28. Well, he's all of a sudden their best prospect and could be in the NHL as early as next season. So, you got to trust what your scouting department's looking at. They're looking at so much game, so many different levels of hockey, but also video scouting is so much easier to come by than it was 5 years ago, to the point where, you're getting a lot more feedback. You don't necessarily need to have scouts at certain games. They can still find out how well players do and things like that. So scouting overall has become really good. But you look at one team, I'll give a shout out to, Carolina Hurricanes, actually, a team that, look how good, they're still a competitive team right now. Obviously, they're having their goalie health issues, but they still have a mid-pack prospect pool of guys who can be contributors very quickly. And, Alexander Nikishin might be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL next year. He's in the KHL right now. They drafted him 69th overall a couple years ago. They also just drafted Nikita Artemonov last year, and he's on pace for one of the best under-20 seasons in KHL history. So that's a team that just seems to find value kind of all throughout the draft.
What do you make of, Stephen, and this is my last one for you, when you look at, the KHL and, obviously what's going on in the world now politically for Russia, it makes it challenging. Maybe some teams just aren't going over there as often. Definitely the last few seasons as they're at war with Ukraine. And so are there some teams maybe that are really missing out on, as you just outlined, a few of the Russian players that are trending up quite nicely?
Yeah, a lot of them have to kind of rely on things like advanced stats and some of the programs that they're able to use to go out there and get to see these players, because they can't see these guys in person. But, going out there and finding, it seems like Russia is still building quite a good goaltending factory at this point, where they're going out there and you're finding guys who could be 5th, 6th, 7th round goalie prospects who might be 6'4", 6'5", and all of a sudden they're a top prospect. And I think just alone that the teams that are willing to take those moves, like the Arizona Coyotes a couple of years ago, drafted 2 in the top 15 picks. They're 2 of the best prospects that organization has right now in Utah. So, some teams are better at it than others, but for the most part, it's still hard to see these players in person, and you don't want to do a lot of unknowns. So eventually when Russia is playing international tournaments again, it'll be a different story.
Steve, enjoy the game tonight, man. Always great to catch up with you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, can't wait.
There you go. That's Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff. So if you're into the prospects tonight, CHL and USA, first of its kind, as they will go head-to-head tonight and again tomorrow. When we return, Andy Petrillo will join us on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
Friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the original, the Orangesicle, and the Marathon. Made with cranberries, bananas, strawberries, orange sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
It's Black Friday at The Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m. like free local delivery on purchases over $499. Friday only. Save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching Love Seater chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$2:47. Welcome back. Tuesday afternoon, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. PlayAlberta.ca. Get your tickets. $80 million for Lotto Max tonight, and 14 Max millions. Woo-hoo! Good luck. PlayAlberta.ca. Time now for our footy report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. It was chilly this morning, wasn't it? You don't want that baby to conk out. So I'll get a new one. No payments, no interest. LegacyHeating.ca for 1 full year. As we welcome in from One Soccer, CBC Sports, and of course the NHL on Amazon, Andy Petrillo. And Andy, some interesting news here in the Canadian soccer world, as Sartini is no longer the head coach in Vancouver, despite having a lot of success.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sad day when we found out that he was no longer going to be coaching the Whitecaps, because he's so likable. He's a media darling. He promoted the team. I mean, obviously, we'll get to what he did with the team as an actual coach, but he was just such a great advocate for the sport and for the team in that market, would always do the media junket. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like we know the struggle that soccer still has in this country for its footprint, right? The other sports still reign supreme, and hockey and NFL and MLB and NBA. And, he was always such a great spokesperson for the game, highly entertaining, really funny. And then, he's a winner with the Vancouver Whitecaps, 3 straight Canadian titles, which also meant qualification into CONCACAF Champions Cup, a big tournament, which also means, money going towards the club and the Vancouver Whitecaps. There was a lot there, but there's always the but, or else why else would he no longer be the coach? And that is, he just couldn't get the team really past the first round in the playoffs. In the 3 seasons that he was there, it was just kind of the same old. And LAFC seemed to be the thorn in their side, both in MLS playoffs as well as CONCACAF Champions Cup, but they just could never really get over that hump. And a lot of that also had to do with, yes, they made the playoffs, but they were always kind of getting in as well as that bottom seed. Even this year they had to play that play-in game. And even though they throttled Portland 5-0 to move on, and they made a go of it as well, in their first round, going the 3 games, but they still got beat and they still got knocked out. And even though he has a year left on his deal, you already kind of, got the sense at his end of season presser that maybe a new voice was needed. Maybe he was saying it, Jason. So like maybe he was feeling a
Yeah.
little bit like he lost the room a bit, right? Like, I mean, a coach is pretty intuitive. They know it. And yeah, so I feel like the buzzword, by the way, I don't know if you kind of feel this way, but there's been a lot of coaches parting ways with teams, and I'm hearing a lot of mutual
Yeah,
agreement. I'm like, BS, man, you fired him. Just say it. Like, what's
exactly.
going on here? I can appreciate them being nice, but it's like we all know what's going on, right? So yes, they mutually agreed to part ways, but at the end of the day, Vancouver let Vanni Sartini go. And my eye, Jason, is already on TFC a little bit. Like that
Yeah.
right away started to like raise my eyebrow in that, again, and I'm sure we'll dive into just kind of more scandals with Canada Soccer, but we're hearing the rumors that MLSE is not happy with the PR that this is bringing. We know Canada Soccer can still punish,
Yeah.
John Herdman and issue some sanctions here in Canada. So now that they know Vanni Sartini is available, and this is me just strictly, kind of talking to a friend here as I'm just thinking out loud, do they start to raise an eyebrow and go, oh, this guy's available. Oh, by the way, speaks Italian. I mean, I don't know, right? Like there's just things there where you kind of go, a little bit, right? Could that speed up the process here, even with TFC and the fate of John Herdman?
Things that make you go, It's a great song. The 90s, Andy. So you never know.
Very good.
Now, quickly, we'll get to coaching changes. There's at least a temporary coach. Bev Priestman, of course, is gone, and Cindy Ty comes in as an interim basis for these upcoming friendlies. What are the chances she lasts?
Well, she's not going to last because she's come right out and said, so she's the head coach, athletic director at the University of Dalhousie. So she's out in Halifax. She loves it. She's been there for years. And she has said that is her home. And they've given her permission to basically, I mean, this is a very cool experience. Some may even say once in a lifetime, right? So she wants to be able to, have this experience. So she's going to be the coach for these two friendlies coming up against Iceland and South Korea. What I found a little interesting was, so Andy Spence, who, was an assistant under Bev Priestman, he had taken over on an interim basis. He hasn't technically been let go by Canada. Like nothing's really been said about him except that he couldn't do this window for personal reasons. So we don't quite know what's going on there. He said he can't do it for personal reasons. That information kind of came out around the whole, part of the investigation thing. And so it's all just, it's a mess. It's an absolute and utter mess. I really feel even for these players going into these friendlies, I mean, top players as well, like Kadisha Buchanan is already out. Chloe Lacasse, they're out with ACL injuries.
Yeah.
It's like a lot. Evelyn Viennes now is a player that we just got told has been replaced in this camp. Jordan Heidema is another player we were told that's missing for personal reasons. So you're kind of sitting there going, ay. Like you never want to turn down a window. You never want to turn down the opportunity to get players together, to play games. Like I get that. And there are still a lot of core pieces in Jessie Fleming and Vanessa Gilles and, obviously your goalkeepers and, Julia Grosso. I can go on. Like you do have some pretty, substantial players in Adriana Leon who are still going to be part of this camp. But man, oh man, is it ever a dark cloud that's hanging around them. There's zero stability in the coaching. I still find very rocky what's going on with the federation and having to find a coach for them, having to still deal with the fallout, because the Globe and Mail has made it their mission to do an investigation into this. They once again just released more information on the toxicity, alleged toxicity over at Canada Soccer under the coaches. This particularly focused on Bev Priestman and how there was already a third-party investigation in 2023 that none of us knew about, right? Like media, public, and according to some board members, they didn't know about it either. So we're starting to hear about that. But I told you this, right, Jason? Like I told you that the third-party investigation that Canada Soccer commissioned after the Olympics, once we found out that they required people to put their name to paper And a lot of people refused to do that. We knew this investigation was going to be incomplete. We knew in many ways it was even going to be a farce. So
Yeah.
all these people who wanted to maintain their anonymity because of real fears of repercussions, because the soccer community is still very small in this country, they're all going to the Globe and Mail and they're all airing their grievances here. Can we make the argument that it's not helping the new leadership in Canada Soccer move forward? Sure. But
Fair
they have
point.
every right to air their grievances. They have every right to get this off their chest, and they have every right to kind of paint a picture of how bad it was. I do wonder, though, at what point, because there's been so much turnover on the board. They are under new leadership. Like, at
Yeah.
what point do you draw the line in the sand and say, okay, like, we got to move on here now, right? So
Yeah,
we'll
like
see.
you can talk about the past forever. If the people in charge now aren't the ones who are there, then it's more so, hey, let's make sure this doesn't happen again. That's totally
Exactly.
valid. But the new allegations, like, they just keep coming out. And
Oof.
obviously, they're not looking like Bev Priestman's looking worse by the day, it seems here.
Yeah.
In this deal, and which I find interesting at times, because there is a small percentage of people that's always like, wow, it's always the men coaches that are terrible. Well, it seems like last I checked, Bev Priestman's a female, and she isn't doing a very good job, right?
No, and
Misogyny isn't just on men. I just want to point that out.
well, it's fair, and men and women have fallen under, the spotlight in the last few years. That's for sure. I mean, having said that, John Herdman's not off the hook here either,
No,
and I'm
nor
happy
should he
that
be.
Canada Soccer, has made that perfectly clear. But you're right. I mean, there are things that are coming out. Of course, they're all being alleged. Bev Priestman, Jasmine Mander, as well, her assistant. They've been denying all of this, and you just wonder, like, okay, what does happen here? All we can hope for is that the organization does learn from this, because I think, what is disturbing is that this is an organization that clearly let their coaches run wild. Their coaches had way too much power.
Right.
That's at least what I'm gathering from this. Like, John Herdman had too much power, and then
Yeah.
he even lost it with his players. Like, it was there's a lot that people don't know, that how he lost the room with the men players. Like, a lot of them just even turned their back on him. Of course, everything was like, "Ooh, we wish him all the best with TFC," but at the end of the day, he left because he knew that he had lost control. He knew
Right.
that it was spiraling. He knew that he had put, he basically lit the flame again with the whole, like, federation and CSB. Anyways, he was in the middle of a lot of things because he was given a lot of power. And now you're realizing Bev Priestman had this same kind of power, right? Like, right down to, yes, promoting her wife to be the head coach of the U17 team. And you would think, under a professional federation, they would look at
Yeah.
that and go, okay, is that
No.
not a wee bit of a conflict of interest, right? Like,
Right.
let's have a talk about that. So, if anything, I'm seeing a federation that we all kind of knew what they were, right? Like, they lost control, didn't really have control, governance was very poor. So you just hope that this is the real kick in the butt that they also needed. And maybe it is a little bit of this public shaming, public humiliation. It is unfortunate that, new leaders have come on board and they're like, we were not part of this. But maybe it's also a wake up call to them, to show them, well, this is how bad it really was, and this is why you actually are embroiled in this turmoil with your players, because it has been so bad.
Yeah.
So, fix it, right? And this is kind of where we're at.
Yeah. No, it's there's good that you can't just bury it and say, well, you got to move on. I think you got to air out all of it and get it completely out there, and then say, okay, we discussed it all. There's obviously been some consequences for those involved. Listening to this stuff, like, I don't see how anybody would give Bev Priestman a coaching job again, to be bluntly honest. Like, hey, she can live her life. She can do a lot of things. She just shouldn't be able to coach. Definitely shouldn't be able to coach any national program. Shouldn't be able to coach any team at any real high level. Like, after listening to all these things, like, she clearly got drunk with power.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, we do have to remember, right? Like, alleged. So if this goes any further, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know where it goes. Like, where does it go? Does it go to court? Like, again, when you have people who are speaking on the basis of anonymity, like, who is she going after? Unless, of course, she chooses to go after the Globe and Mail. We've seen this before, right? Where people just will go after the media, try to force them to give up their sources, and then try to dispute it, right? Like, but that's the thing. You kind of have to prove that it didn't happen. And in one of the articles, I'm trying to keep up because the Globe and Mail really is kind of just like doling them out now. But in one of the articles I read, they apparently saw a text message. So one of the allegations, of course, is on a match day -1, so the day before a game, that again alleged Bev Priestman would force her coaching staff, no players were included, but the coaching staff to get together and have social events. Where a lot of times, again, a lot of these people allege that drinking would get out of hand, there was inappropriate behavior, all this kind of stuff. And according to the Globe and Mail, they did see a text. They claim to have seen a text that was shown to them where Bev was complaining that attendance was dwindling and she didn't like that, and people needed to know that these types of events were mandatory. So this was also one of those where somebody was trying to show that she was, bullying people into, attend an event the day before a game to essentially get drunk, where people were trying to prepare professionally for a game. So it's like all these types of things that you're hearing now, right? Where you're just like, whoa, what am I believing? What am I not? And of course, she's denying all of this. So I just again, I don't know where it goes from here. There's a lot of mudslinging at the moment. And you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, she's suspended a year by FIFA. So it doesn't really matter, right? She can't really do anything anyways in the world of soccer for a year. But it's just like I think we're in the nasty point here, Jason. Like we're in the thick of it now. And I don't know when it'll slow down. Inevitably it will, but we're really in the thick of it now.
Andy, great stuff as always. We appreciate it. Have a good week.
Great. You too.
That's Andy Petrillo from CBC and One Soccer, as well as NHL and Amazon. And if you're a soccer fan and you're watching, like, honestly, these stories are coming out. Cons, I don't know if you've been watching or not, but it is, honestly, it's like the Days of Our Lives soap opera of the Canadian soccer program.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something new. Like Andy says, you can't really take a break because then you're going to fall behind. It is ridiculous, this whole thing that's happened. And I mean, Gregor, do you think a more competent organization could have had this figured out and settled months ago, or do we have to go through this process?
I always knew the investigation was going to be a farce. I knew that from the get-go. The only thing I don't like is how come none of these players have the guts to go forward, right? If everybody's saying Priestman was wrong, why do you always have to do every interview in anonymity? What is she going to do to you? She's not coaching anymore. Is it going to ruin your career? It's always a fear that we have, but I'm not sure it's actually truthful. Anybody would say, hey, wait a sec. She's not on the team now because she spoke up. What are you doing, Canada? They get ripped apart if she's that good. Right now, if you're a bubble player, okay, maybe. If you're like, well, I'm a bubble player, even if I said nothing, I might get cut because I'm just not good enough. But that's always my one thing is, you know what? 90% of people will want to hear your story. And this happened. Wow, that's brutal. Shouldn't have happened. And away we go. And because once they come public, there's none of this. Well, it's just anonymity, right? Because that's all that Bev Priestman could. Now she's not debating against anyone. She's debating against anonymous people, and it's not as powerful. Quick break. When we come back, Terry Ryan will join us. We got lots more on the orders. Dave McCarthy will be by. Also, a terrible event here locally that resulted in the death in a mixed martial arts event. That, you know what? There's lots of questions as to how this went down and how it was allowed to go on. So we'll talk about that and more. But first, here's a Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice as they celebrate 25 years. Dale, right here from Edmonton, baby. Started, and what a success story Booster Juice has become. And they brought back some of their faves, the original, the marathon, and creamsicle. Only at Booster Juice. Download the rewards app at Booster Juice and get it now.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Calgary Stampeders have acquired American quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. from the BC Lions. The Lions also receiving a second round and fourth round pick in this year's draft, as well as the Stampeders' second round pick in 2026. BC sending their 2025 fourth round pick and 2026 third round pick to the Stamps in the deal. New Jersey Devils forward Timo Meier was suspended for one game for cross-checking. The incident occurred in the third period of the Devils' 5-2 win over the Preds. Meier received a 5-minute cross-checking penalty in a game misconduct on the play. On the ice, a pair of games. The Bruins taking on the Canucks. That will start at 5. Also at 5, Utah in Montreal to meet the Canadiens. And in the association tonight, NBA Cup group play rolls on. Bulls, Wizards, you got the Heat and the Bucks. The Rockets take on the Timberwolves. Jazz and Spurs, and the Lakers head to the desert to take on the Suns. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host and former NHLer, Terry Ryan, also Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM NHL, and Mike Russell from RealFightStories.com. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered.
Appreciate
with
it.
the new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
We all live in Canada, right? And we all know it gets cold, right? And every second that ticks by, it gets colder and colder. Well, GS Construction is prepared for that. GS Construction is the group that makes sure all those underground pipes that lead to and away from your home stay flowing. Because pipes freeze. You don't want that. So GS Construction has been hard at work as winter approaches, preparing our underground systems to run smoothly. To find out more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference. Volvo of Edmonton.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. The Gregor Show is always presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. And it's Tuesday. Lotto Max, a record high $80 million up for grabs tonight. Get your tickets before 8:30 Edmonton time at PlayAlberta.ca. Also 14 max millions up for grabs. Good luck. Good luck. As we welcome to the show our Thursday co-host, former NHLer, first-round pick of the Montreal Canadiens, two-time author. He's in the Newfoundland Hall of Fame and, of course, stars as a Hitch on the hit TV show Shoresy. Terry Ryan joins us. TR, how you doing?
I'm all right. Can you hear me? My microphone wasn't working, so I'm using the computer.
Buddy, I can hear you just fine. You're looking all scholar-y with your glasses on. You know, you got your headphones around your neck. It's it's like I'm looking at Terry Ryan before a workout, before a game back in 2001.
You're looking at Terry Ryan as he was trying to track down his passport and his cards today. I left everything on the plane. Oh, you ever been there? And the first plane, the one from Toronto to Calgary yesterday, not Calgary here. I realized that when I was on the plane over, and then, one thing led to another. And then I lost my charger as well, so the phone was off. Anyway, all first world problems. And today I've pretty much figured it all out. Passport was number one, and I went from there.
So did you leave it in the back of the seat in front of you?
I was reading a book, called Hyperspace, and I realized that I left my wallet in my bag, so I said, okay, I'll just put all my money, my cash, and my cards in and use it as a bookmark, right? So then, of course, I fell asleep and I put the book in the little pouch in front of me. And so all of it got left.
Yeah, I was there. I left my passport once in the back of the seat when I was the play-by-play guy for the Rush. But I got off the airplane. We were in New York, of all places. And we're off the plane. I was about 10 minutes off. I'm like, oh, my God. But then I wheeled back. And they were on there, and so I ran and I got it. So thankfully, I had to go through like 2 gates that we weren't supposed to go through, but I'm like, dude, I know exactly where it is. It's in this seat, and it's in this row. It's right in front of me, and so they let me go get it. Thank God, because that wouldn't have been great. So after that, man, I can tell you, I've never forgot it anywhere ever since. I always, you do it once, never again.
And just a headache, because I'd been gone like a little bit over a month, and even before that, it was only 3 days. I think I was gone another 2 weeks. So I needed to get back and take care of a bunch of stuff. But because of that, I canceled all my cards, obviously. So then when half the things I had to take care of, Penny Lane soccer registration, all that stuff, I couldn't pay it online because my cards weren't there. And then, it was just one thing led to another. Again, I don't want to sit here and all these, as you would say, quote unquote, first world problems, but, I've had worse days, but it was a big headache all day.
Yeah. No, I could see it. Lots to discuss. The in the NHL, the Boston Bruins, they fire their coach, and then the St. Louis Blues 5 days later say thank you very much. We'll bring in Jim Montgomery. Drew Bannister gets let go. Kind of not that he did a poor job, but it just obviously the organization feels that Jim Montgomery is better. Their owner's willing to pay what I think Drew Bannister had 2 years remaining on his contract. What do you make of the quick moves in Boston and St. Louis?
Well, I'm not surprised that Montgomery got snapped up. And I'm also not surprised he was fired. I think he's the fall guy. You talk about this turnaround nowadays. I think 2 of the last 4 years he could have been up for Coach of the Year. But anyway, he probably wanted one of those. But anyway, there was a lot of success in Boston, but in the very, very, very recent past, there wasn't. And sometimes it's a flavor. Once fans start booing and stuff, then something's got to be done. So I wasn't surprised in his firing or his hiring. What I was surprised is that he got hired by St. Louis with Bannister there, like I said, with 2 years left. And look, a lot of times, I saw a lot of people. There's an outcry about loyalty to Bannister and everything. Look, I probably would have remained with Bannister, but the thing is, I understand it. Look at Vegas; they make some harsh moves. It's a sports world; it's the way things go down. And it's a judgment call. You call a guy in, you speak with him. I'm sure it wasn't just here's the door, Drew. You want to take advantage of a guy like that. He's got a great track record, not only of stats. I mean, there's lots of coaches that could give you numbers, but it generally seems to me that a lot of players that have played under Jim Montgomery have great things to say about him. And that's when it's one thing for X's and O's. It's another thing to be able to be respected in the room and by the organization. And it seems to me that, St. Louis, although it was a tough call to make, I can understand where they're coming from. And, Is it going to change their team overnight? No, but I think it would give me confidence as a young player or a fan that the team's going to be set off in the right direction here.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I look at St. Louis, and you know what? Hey, they got the coach bump last night. Usually it happens. They get the win. Boston's had a few wins. Talk to me in a few weeks and see if it's carrying over or not. I look at the Blues in their division, and I don't think they got the skill level to match Minnesota or Winnipeg or Colorado or Dallas. So they'll be in tough, I think, to get into a playoff spot. Maybe they can push for a crossover wild card, but I think that would be challenging right now. And Montgomery could be good. They need better goaltending for sure, right? Like, I don't blame Drew Bannister for, like, Binnington's had really good years, except the start to this season has been awful for him. The Oilers, TR, got a big win over the Rangers. They got a lot of sickness going on right now. A few more guys missing practice today. Arvidsson's out. Hyman's out. Neither one of them are going to play this weekend. But Darnell Nurse, he got rocked in Toronto, missed a few games, but before that hit, was playing great, comes back, scores a shorthanded goal. It's tied for the most shorthanded goals amongst active defensemen in the National Hockey League. I think Darnell Nurse has had a really good year, save for maybe the first few games of the season for the Oilers. And you know what? The Edmonton's power play, TR, is what I want to get to. And how, like, we're at game 22 now, and their power play is in the bottom 7 of the league. And it's been the best for years. I've seen opposing teams, like, they've really tried to say, we're not going to get beat on that seam pass. We don't want to get beat there. They're really saying, hey, we're going to give you Nugent Hopkins open, and we're going to give you Bouchard opening. And Edmonton's power play hasn't been able to figure it out yet. So my question to you is, how much longer do they get? I get that you give them time to work out of their funk because they've been the best power play for 5 years. But at some point, when do you look and say, we might have to change the personnel here because we're up to game, like, is it game 30? Where's your bar on when you got to say, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to have to make a change to the power play.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would generally say, though, now, I would say 20. I don't know why, but and that's been something that I even remembered, coaches using that mark. Let's see where we are at the 20-game mark. I don't know why. It seems like a large sample size. It's longer than an NFL season. If, all that time with the man advantage, if you can't figure it out, generally, with the Oilers, I think all things being equal, if you just landed everybody if no one had played each other and everything else, it'd probably be still great. But, yeah, people are catching on to what they're doing. So I think you got to change it up. You got to change a lot of things up. And that could be just slightly different positioning. Clearly whatever you're doing, and I know what you mean with the seam pass and some of that backdoor plays down low, but you still got the man advantage. So for every team that would use that, to defend against you, you should have a countermeasure, especially when you're so talented. And when you don't, well, maybe especially, how many goals does Nuge even have on the year overall? I don't think he has a lot. And I wouldn't take it as an insult if I was on the power play and it wasn't working. And you're not going to, you're really going to move Bouchard or McDavid or Draisaitl? Probably not. And like you said, I know what you mean. So it leaves Bouchard open a lot, and he generally does a lot with that ice. But it's tough when they're just leaving the D-man open there because, it often leads to forced shots from far out, and you don't want that either. So, for me, you would definitely change up the personnel, and now's the time to do it.
Yeah, like obviously McDavid and Draisaitl ain't going anywhere, and I'm really not sold that Bouchard is. Because the only guy, I guess, maybe you tried Nurse for a chime. That's really the only other option I see on the back end. And you got Jeff Skinner, he's a shooter. What Edmonton, now maybe when he gets healthy, it's Arvidsson, but what Edmonton really needs on their power play is a right shot shooter on that side.
Good point, yeah.
Right? That's what they really need. And they don't really have, like, Arvidsson, I guess, would probably be the best option as a right shot guy. But I don't, maybe they try him there. Skinner's obviously a very good shooter, but he's a lefty. I think he's more of a natural shooter than Nugent Hopkins is anyway. So maybe that might be the difference. But I do wonder how long before Golitzin and Knobloch. I think my understanding is the conversation's at least being started. Now it's a matter of, at what point do you make the change? Because it obviously has been very successful for a long time. And I understand that you kind of give them a little bit longer rope than normal to work their way out of it. But we're at game 22, man. And it's not like it's getting better. It's not like, okay, they had a slow start. Not like the penalty kill. The penalty kill was terrible. And now the penalty kill has gone 7 straight games without allowing a goal. Like, it's found itself. The power play is still out in the woods searching.
Yeah, and like, again, there's no offense to Nuge here, but he's had a decent sample size to start with. But it's not only that. It's not only that. Like, if I'm defending against, you know, I might see that cross seam pass. I'm the defending team, whoever it might be. And I can look at the video and, you know, assume that the Oilers maybe will make some adjustments to my adjustments, okay? But it's another thing to have different personnel out there because it's more unpredictable, right? Like if I'm looking, I could be not looking for the cross seam pass, but I know that in certain situations, this guy will turn towards the boards. Like Nylander did that a lot. He's not, I hate to bring up another team here, but I don't know. It just jumped out at me with Berube. I think he's taking it down low more. He used to cut in against the boards. He's done it this year twice and fallen down, and they've gone the other way. I'm just saying, if I'm out there against him and I'm in the NHL, I'll probably know his tendency a little bit. So it's not just the actual plays, the X's and O's that are happening. It's the players on the ice that are adjusting because they know what this guy's going to do or that guy's going to do. So that's the other reason. It's not always, hey, hey, kid, you're not playing well. It's just, you know what? Like, we need some level of unpredictability out here. And, 3 of these guys aren't going anywhere. So sorry, but your turn is up and we're going to go with somebody else. That's also the way I see it.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you. When we come back, Dave McCarthy will join us. Then Mike Russell and more on a busy Tuesday edition of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $80 million up for grabs tonight in Lotto Max.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle. Made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So sit on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee?" It's been bugging me for months. First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
3:25. Welcome back. Little chilly Tuesday here in the capital region of Alberta. It's the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate it. It's time to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's and the Fan Day deals. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, $4 Big Macs, $4 McChicken, $4 filet of fish, but only available through the app. So download it today and get the app. Start eating and saving at McDonald's. As we welcome in our regular Tuesday guest from Sirius XM, Dave McCarthy. Davey, how you doing, my man?
Hey, boys. What's going on? Terry, good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
You guys getting together for Christmas?
I don't know. You gonna be in town or?
No, well, maybe you should. TR's flying all over the place. He needs a passport, though. Although it's in the country, you could get there, TR. You just can't go out of the country.
I could get there. We were just there, actually. We played the Leafs alumni at, well, I don't know what they call Old Maple Leaf Gardens now. Ryerson.
Oh, the Mattamy Center, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it was a beauty time. We just had a blast. In and out, but who knows? I'm going to be back before Christmas. Maybe we can have a little Christmas party, Davey.
Be good to get a pint with you, Terry.
Little Queen West action, and you know what? Right before, we'll go to a record store, get some good vinyl, and you can take me to get a nice fedora or the like, salt and pepper hat or something like that.
Queen West, eh? I'm more of an Ossington guy or a Yorkville guy, but I can go to your neck of the woods if you want.
Okay, well, I'll let you host.
But is TR slumming it here? I don't even know what neighborhood you guys are talking about, but the way Dave acted like TR brought up, like, hey, dude, we can't, what is this, like the north side of Edmonton?
Is that a rough hood? I don't know.
Yeah, it's trendy parts of Toronto I like to hang out in.
Davey, lots going on in the hockey world right now. I want to get your thoughts on old Marty Necas, who is now atop the leader for points in the National Hockey. He's got 35 points, like halfway already to a career high. And he's having an unbelievable year for the Hurricanes. And have they finally found their game breaker? The thing that's eluded them their whole time. They haven't had a game breaker. Is Necas a game breaker?
Well, he's certainly playing like it in the early going this season. It's funny. I was talking to a couple of people who know him intimately over the last week. Firstly, Thomas Hertl, when Vegas rolled through town last week. Thomas, good buddy of Marty Necas, they trained together in the off season. They've done so for the past 2 or 3 years. And Thomas told me that he always thought that Marty Necas was a guy that had this level in him. It's just about getting confidence and finding your stride at the NHL level and getting some opportunity. But he said, this guy's insanely skilled, insanely skilled. And it has not come as a surprise to Thomas that Marty Necas is playing like that. And Rod Brindamore, I had him on the brunch this week, and same thing. He said there's a reason we drafted him in Carolina, because we're really well aware of what this guy is capable of. But, you know, and we talk about this all the time, Jason. Teams, sometimes teams, but certainly fans are always in a rush to close the book on a guy who's like 21 and has been a very good player, but not necessarily a world beater because they haven't come into the league like Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews. Well, sometimes it takes guys like 2 or 3 years to really establish themselves at the NHL level and then turn into a guy that becomes an elite difference maker. So Rod is another guy who's not at all surprised to see Marty playing the way he is. I mean, take Alexis Lafreniere as another example, right? I mean, this guy, feels like he's been around forever. But But he's only, you think of his development, he came in the shortened season, so that was screwed up. And then he had the pandemic 21 season that was truncated and really without the regular flow of an NHL season, all while trying to develop. So then, like last year, he had his first full season, and now this year we're really starting to see him pop. Like in the playoffs last year, he took a big step forward, and now this year he's continued it. So some guys, it takes a period of time, and that's okay. And it looks like Marty Nikish is found that level, because if he can keep playing like this, it's like found money to an extent when you add him to a group that already includes Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, like very, very good players, but they've not been like elite game-breaking difference maker type players, but good players on a good team for sure. You add another guy who's maybe even better than that into that mix, that's going to help Carolina. They've done a really good job of stemming the tide after losing a handful of really quality players in the offseason.
TR?
Davey, what I'd like to know is, first of all, the Leafs are 7-1 without Matthews, I believe, if not 8-1, but I think they're 7-1 without Matthews.
7-1.
So, first of all, what are they doing differently under Craig Berube? And second of all, do you think there's a chance that Matthews and Marner will be split when they get back?
Well, I'll answer the second one first because that's a short answer. Yes, Austin Matthews skated today at practice on a line with William Nylander. Pontus Holmberg, he said, I might have to learn some Swedish in order to better communicate when I'm on the ice. But it does look like that's going to be the case. Craig Berube has been really happy with the John Tavares, Mitch Marner, Bobby McMahon line. And why shouldn't he be? Mitch Marner has a 4-game multi-point streak in the last 4 games. John Tavares is playing as good as he has in a long time. Bobby McMahon, you talk about Marty Nikish, not quite at that level. But Bobby McMahon, you think of his trajectory in the Leaf organization from, AHL contract to good AHL player to call up to like bit part at the NHL level to like now legitimate top 6 power forward. There's been a steady trajectory there, and you need guys like that when you're paying 4 guys all of the money. You need some guys like that to come in, push through, and play well above their salary, and Bobby McMahon's doing that. So, yes, and I think that's the right call, because I think at times there's a tendency for Mitch to want to look for Austin all the time, and I think he gets out of his own game at times when he does that, and like staleness, if you will, seeps in. So I think that's the right call to keep them apart. Looks like that's going to be the case. What are they doing differently under Craig Berube? Well, they're not giving anything up. They don't give anything up. Now, they don't generate nearly as much as they did in years past under Sheldon Keefe. But, you think of teams that have had success in recent years, that tends to be the strategy more so than giving up a ton and hoping you can outscore what you give up. Think of Tampa Bay during their championship years. They won every game 7. What, 1-0? Like, seriously, right? Not actually, but it felt like it. 1-0, 2-1, where they gave nothing up. They hung around. They stayed patient. They waited for you to make a mistake, and when you did, they made you pay. And that's what the Leafs have done. Like last couple games against Utah on Sunday, they didn't play well in the first period. They were kind of just behind the play. They couldn't get their legs going, all that. The second they took over the game, and then the third, they were okay, but they just didn't give up a lot. They didn't generate much, but they didn't give up a lot. Against Vegas, the game before that, 3-0 win when like they had 7 forwards out of the lineup. Again, they didn't give up much, and they waited for Vegas to make mistakes, and then their good players, Marner, Nylander, made the difference. So that's a way of sustaining winning hockey. The other way is like how the Ottawa Senators try to play, boys, where they give up so much and they try to beat teams 7-5, and it doesn't work.
Nah.
Well, the funny thing about the Senators actually is if you look at their shots against, their top 5 expected goals against, their top 3 5-on-5. This year, their goaltender Allmark just simply hasn't been good enough. They've actually limited their chances against significantly so far. this season in Ottawa. They finally got a win last night, and we'll see if maybe that gets them going. They changed up their lineup a little bit, and it seemed to get a little bit of a spark for them. The Leafs have played great without Austin Matthews. Obviously, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. Your team's still going to be better when he comes back, because that means, you know, you should get your second line scoring a little bit. Over in the Metro, man, the Carolina Hurricanes keep going. Now they got both their goalies out, Dave. Goalies have always been an issue. Injuries have always been an issue there, but now they're down to the third goalie. That an unbelievable comeback last night against the Dallas Stars, who don't give up anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Carolina's like, okay, you know what? We're going to win 6-4 here most nights until we get our goalies back. Because I don't think Spencer Martin can have that many games where he's going to give up less than 3 goals.
No, that's going to be an issue. And just to finish off the thing about, you're right, the defensive metrics have been better, but when they make mistakes at times in games, it's like they just stop playing defensively and teams waltz across the blue line. So like the consistency within games has been a huge problem for Ottawa, where, you know, like you look 45 minutes of the game, they're okay. And then there's like 3 spots of 5 minutes throughout the game where they just stop playing and then the game gets away from them. So I don't know. I'm still not convinced on Ottawa. With Carolina, Pyotr Kochetkov potentially, I hear could be back this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But it doesn't appear that it's going to be as long-term as the initial injury might have suggested the way it looked. That's good. I still think if you're Carolina, it would be foolish of Eric Tulsky not to be looking and listening to see if a goaltender is available on the trade market, because Spencer Martin's a nice goalie, but I think he's probably like a good third goalie at best. If you're going to lean on him for, 4 to 5 games, probably can handle that. If you're leaning on him for like 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to be a problem, and you probably want better than that in the playoffs. And so the issue with Carolina is that Freddie Anderson, Pyotr Kochetkov, when they're in the lineup, they're good, but you can never count on them being available. They tend to get hurt for long periods of time, oftentimes at really bad times in the season. So, I think they need to be looking for a goalie, because you just can't, if you can't get a stop in this league, you can't get a win, especially at playoff time. And it's a shame for Carolina, because I think they've got a good team, and to hang all of their hopes on a couple of guys that tend to be unavailable at the worst possible time would be a shame for them if their season went south because of that.
Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM joins us talking all things NHL. Lastly, Dave, we're at the quarter market, and people look at all sorts of fun little statistics and stuff. We are a few weeks away from the 4 nations and the rosters being announced. Where do you think they balance the guys playing well now compared to guys who have played really well for 3 years or the last year and a half, even, especially because you got 2 months until the tournament? What do you think they weigh more when it comes to those final decisions for some players?
That's so difficult, right? Like, I know the managers of the teams wish the deadline was at least a month down the road, but it was a collectively bargained issue involving the NHLPA, where they wanted a good enough amount of notice. So for guys who are not part of the tournament, they can plan what they're going to do during the pause. I get it, but it certainly doesn't help the manager for the point that you bring up, Jason. Like a guy like Zach Hyman, use an example here in Edmonton, coming into the year in September, probably a lock to be on the team, right? His chemistry with Connor McDavid, the fact that he can move down the lineup and play in more of a checking role and be really effective in that role. He can kill penalties really effectively. So he doesn't need to be playing high in your lineup in order to be able to impact the game. But you'd also like to have a guy like that coming in that has played well in the first 3 months of the season, and Zach has not been at his best. So how do you like, if you're the manager of Team Canada, Zach Hyman is in consideration for this team because of his association with Connor McDavid. There are a lot of guys that are quality penalty killers that can check effectively that are not even in the conversation, just simply because that's all that they do. But if you can add one of those guys that can fill those type of roles and also potentially, if need be, play higher in the lineup and have success with the team's best player, that's why but he hasn't played well. So, like, I'm of the mind where I would lean more toward a guy that has had a bit of a resume of work, a body of work over 2 or 3 or 4 years that suggests that he's likely to trend upwards at some point, or if nothing else, when the chips are on the line in a big game, has a history of performing well. Instead of a guy that started out well for 8 weeks here, but has kind of come out of the woodwork. You have no track record of the guy playing when the games really matter down the stretch and into the playoffs, because for whatever reason, that guy might not have been in that position in past points in his career. Some guys look like Atlas in October and November, and then they look like a pigeon when the games ratchet up a little bit, right? So that's what I'd be cautious about, and why I'd lean more toward the guys that have a body of work, even if their first 2.5 months hasn't been the best.
Davey, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Have an awesome day.
See you, boys.
See you, buddy.
There you go. That's Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. And an incredibly tragic event this past weekend locally in the MMA world. We will discuss that next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility. Available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
This Saturday, 6 p.m. till midnight. Don't miss the 70th annual Kinsman Radio Auction. The Kinsman Club of Camrose invites you to join the fun and support their largest fundraiser of the year. Bid on a huge selection of items donated by generous local businesses. All proceeds will help the Kinsmen serve our community's greatest needs. The Kinsman Radio Auction. For details, find them on Facebook. You can also join the bidding in person this Saturday night. Main Street, Camrose, corner of 50th and 50th in the former Just For You building.
Celebrating the holidays following the loss of a loved one is challenging and filled with difficult emotions. Together, we can find solace, share memories, and support each other. You're invited to join Connolly McKinley Funeral Homes for a candlelight service of remembrance and hope this Sunday, 2 p.m. at our St. Albert location, and Sunday, December 8th, 2 p.m. at our downtown location. Food bank donations gratefully accepted. To register, visit connolly-mckinley.com or call 780-422-2222.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.345, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440. Terry Ryan, of course, along with us as well. Sports1440.ca. Happy Tuesday afternoon. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And a topic that is never one you want to discuss in sports. This past weekend at an MMA event put on by Ultra MMA. And unfortunately, Trocon Dosuya passed away after being in a fight in mixed martial arts. A doctor who was on site went to the hospital with them. They canceled the rest of the card because there's no other doctor on site. And there's lots and lots of questions coming out about should this card even have been put on? Should this fight have occurred? Did so many safety issues potentially violated? Mike Russell from Real Fight Stories, who has spent many years, digging into the fighting world, and a lot of things go wrong. Of course, did a lot of investigation into the Tim Hague death and all the things that went wrong before and leading up to that unfortunate passing for Tim. Joins us now. Mike, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Doing okay, Jason. Thanks for having me. It's a shame that we have to keep meeting like this and that this has become my specialty, but all these fighters keep dying and it's like we haven't learned anything from Tim Hague. So I'm glad you're having me on so we can discuss some of the issues.
So kind of give me the background. I'll be honest, I don't know anything. I never even heard about Ultra MMA. Now, granted, I'm not in the MMA scene nearly as much as I was when I was doing lots of MFC stuff with Mark Pavlich and their group, but and they were a great organization, by the way. But kind of give me the background, because I know you spent the last few days really digging into this. Give me the lowdown on what you've uncovered from this event. Should it have even gone on? Was there a bunch of safety issues from the get-go?
Sure. Yeah. So the company that's the umbrella company of this Ultra MMA or Ultra, they do Ultra boxing too. They do what's called white collar boxing events. So it's kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme that started in the UK based around this one set of gyms that they would entice new members to come in for 2 months free training. And at the end of it, they would fight for charity. So they actually were banned from the UK version of the Canadian Cancer Society. It would no longer take their money because it was blood money, because they had 3 deaths at some of these events under the same promotion's banner. So they basically were, I wouldn't say run out of the UK, but they're banned in various areas of the UK where they don't have regulating bodies over there. So here in Alberta, there were actually some documents that went out banning them with Boxing Alberta or the Alberta Boxing. Some of the federations were concerned because, sorry, as you know, Jason, 2 months worth of training isn't enough to even go in and have a spar with somebody. Right. So that's what happened. Like if you look at the footage of the fight, so what happened was this was Trocon's first fight. The other issue was they had what were called same day weigh-ins.
Yes.
Every martial art, boxing event, everything. You take 24 hours to get all of your hydration back, because in these combat sports, it's another dangerous practice that we're trying to have, eliminated or try to curb it so that they actually have same day weigh-ins with day before weigh-ins, just to couple it so people don't lose as much weight. But the issue is that if he cut all that weight to make weight the same day and then tried to put it all back on, he was probably dehydrated, because that was originally what they thought, was that he was winded and dehydrated, because he won the fight. It wasn't a very heavy fight. There wasn't a lot of blows landed. It was just, you shouldn't be in there for a strenuous, back and forth on the ground, up and down fight when you've only trained for 2 months. So, there's a lot of issues here, but the big issue to me is that they've got this charity angle. So the charity angle makes people kind of like, well, we'll let things go. I think a lot of it was let go. And I think that this organization gets away with a lot because they're under the guise of a charity. But to me, it's not really, charitable. The fact that we've had now 4 deaths in 10 years of existence for this company. And now Alberta has, in the last, I think they were the very first boxing death in 1918. And now we're the very first MMA death in Canada is now in Alberta because of this. So, as far as you saying, was it legal? Should it have been regulated? The regulating body that actually looked after this it was in Enoch, Alberta, as you know, on First Nations land. So they were given probably permission from First Nations of Enoch to hold this event. But again, it was under the guise of a charity. So, the fact we have to know, did they have ECGs, which is mandatory in most jurisdictions? Did they have head scans beforehand? Like, there's a lot of questions we're going to have because the commission that regulated it was deputized by the township the town of Penhold to do traveling events. But when they were created, and I used to read some of their legislation back when they were created, way back like 2015, I wrote a story for Yahoo Sports that I talked about how great the Penhold commission was. Well, now nobody's there. All the people that were like top-notch regulators that were approved by the Association of Boxing Commissions to run this traveling commission are no longer there. So they're using the same uniforms, the same logo. It's an empty vessel, basically, that they've got that's running this, and it's obviously unsafe because we have a death on our hands. I don't think it's necessarily the fight that did it. I think it was just the fact that this guy never should have been in the ring. So, it's a sad situation, but in the same sense, with this Tim Hague report that came out a few weeks ago, the public death inquiry report that came out, I only agreed with a few points, and I think this hammers down those points, is that we need a provincial commission looking after things, and we need minimum safety requirements, ECGs, we need head scans, we need, minimums. There were some things in that report I don't think are doable, like every 6 months to have head scans for every fighter because of cost and because of just, it's just, there's things that need to be talked about, but we need to have, somebody needs to step in and say, we need to have the province involved because this is what's happening. We've got cracks that people are falling into, that they're writing loopholes so that they can go and do what they want with these rogue commissions. And it's exactly what we said would happen if we didn't have Edmonton have a commission. We let Edmonton come back. People are running from Edmonton because they don't want to work with them after Tim Hague. That's the problem. Nobody wants to work with as much as they say they've made changes, nobody trusts them. And I don't blame them because I don't trust them. So, it's kind of like we've created this problem, but now it's another death. So I think we need to maybe, put the brakes on things and take a look at things, because I don't think what we're doing is working, because obviously, we've got 2 deaths on our hands in 7 years, and both of them are in Edmonton and Edmonton areas because of a gym in Edmonton and because of promoters in Edmonton. So.
TR.
Yes, hi, Mike. I'm just wondering, is there a standard that promoters have to follow, for fighter safety? I mean, there must be, right? That promoters themselves have to follow?
Well, I always look at it this way. Fighters, and, we've got a lot of really intelligent fighters, so it's no knock on fighters. Fighters are like kids that the parents are bringing to the pool. So, the coaches and the managers are the ones that drop them off at the pool. Well, these are the lifeguards are supposed to be the commission. They're supposed to be the ones that actually are making sure that the promoters aren't screwing over fighters. Right. Because I'll tell you another case that Jason and I have been talking, I've been sending him some info that I'm working on that, when this one just fell on my lap, I already had another wrongful fighter death case where the promoter was aware that the fighter was hurt before the fight and did nothing about it. So, that's another big issue, is that if you're willfully blind just because it's, going to help you and line your pockets and give you a better fight or sell you more tickets, well, then you should be liable if you're the one that gets somebody killed. And that's what I'm going to prove with my other case that I'm working on as well. But this one's a little bit more, I guess, time sensitive right now because there's a lot of people that know a lot of things that have been reaching out. So, it's good that it's going to be all on public record. But I think, the best part is that the RC, there's no silver lining to a death, but the RCMP is involved in this because of the interjurisdictional issues that we have. So I tried to get that with the Tim Hagg case. The police wouldn't even get involved. And, we probably should have taken it outside of the jurisdiction because of, how close they are to the city, and the city decides on their raises and everything else. So, I'm glad that the RCMP is looking into things, and I hope that, this man's family gets exactly what they have coming for them. But, I'm hoping that this just shuts down this. They call it white collar boxing because it all started on Wall Street. Wall Streeters would fight for charity, and it was sanctioned. Well, they didn't do it for profit. So this gym is actually getting people, in on we give you 2 free months training and you come and fight for us. And then they think that they're going to keep those people as members for life. So it's a scam. It's not really, it's not like a real, wow, we're going to change your life. We're going to make you into a fighter, because there are legit, there's an actual MMA promotion called Wimp to Warrior, and it's run by legitimate coaches like John Kavanaugh. And there are people that are involved that it takes them 20 weeks to make somebody get ready for an amateur fight, but they wear headgear and they wear shin pads. So that was the other thing. These guys are supposed to be by law wearing shin pads, by all the regulations of the ABC, by the regulations of penhold. They're supposed to follow all the ABC regulations. Weigh-ins are supposed to be within 36 hours in penhold. And then ABC says within 24 hours. So why was it same day?
Yeah. Well,
right. There's a lot of questions, but I was told the promoter wanted same day, and that's why they changed it. But that's the problem with the promotions. And we've talked about it, Jason, is that just because the promoter's the paying customer doesn't mean you get to do whatever he says.
Yeah.
Your still number one job is you're supposed to be the lifeguard. These kids just want to jump in the pool. You have to stop them as a regulator. And sometimes it's hard. You have to stop them because in Edmonton, there were situations where if they stopped one fight, it would make it so that they didn't have the minimum for a dinner event and they'd have to cancel a whole show. And that's what they did in this case, is that apparently they didn't have the medical supplies or the medical personnel after that situation that they could continue. So, it's good that they stopped it then, but too little too late.
Yeah. And supposedly the rumor is that they're going to be rescheduled for March. Is there any chance you think that will actually occur?
No, I don't think so. Because here's the thing, you know yourself, you've probably had a million calls about it. You've got texts, everything else. I've had every coach I know. I've had every fighter I know. Anybody that knows anything has put everybody in touch with me. So everybody is saying that they've, one guy was walking into Parliament in BC to, one of his friends that he was going to speak to about it. And everybody's very, very worried that these people are going to continue. There's an event booked where I live in Ontario here coming up for this white collar promotion. So, it's not white collar when it's actual blue collar people that are supposed to go home to their friends and family, the next day with no head injuries or, catastrophic injuries. It's great that you're saying you're raising money, and that's the problem. That's how they hook people. And I took PR, and I had a teacher once tell me that if you ever have something that's having a real hard time selling, always add a charitable angle, like collect for the food bank or whatever. And that's what they've done. They've just wrapped a bow around it like, wow, it's great, it's for charity. Yeah, but you don't also tell people the fine print that 4 people now have died for this charitable foundation. And I've sent you the articles. There's, dozens of articles about how unsafe it is and how there's been undercover investigations in the UK, and they basically pushed them out of the UK. But these UK promoters have all moved here. There's some of them living in Calgary that I know that are working with this company. And it's like, well, just because they've made, but the reason why, Jason, is because Alberta is the only place that doesn't have a legit commission.
Yeah.
So they know they can find, where to go. They can go to certain people and say, hey, if I do this for charity, that's the problem. And we've, something's got to be done to button it up, but maybe the RCMP will have to go back to this judge that, is making these rulings, and there's going to be another emergency injunction if this keeps up. But I just think they need to put somebody in charge. But to me, I've always said from day one, it has to be somebody that's in charge, that's a fighter, because then they've got, teeth in the game. So Mitch Clark is probably the guy that I would pick. He's probably, the guy that's most in tune with what's going on. He understands it all. You need somebody like that that can help run it. You can't have just a bureaucrat like we've had here in Edmonton and everywhere else, because they're just worried about money.
And do you think there's a chance, like, can the government get involved here and, pass so that, they ban it? Because obviously right now there's no regulator to oversee it. And as long as you can convince somebody to hold it, it seems that you can do it.
Well, I just think just because of the liability alone, because of this, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to touch it. The other case that I'm working on in the States, like all of these different areas that we're regulating different promotions that are having issues, will just stop doing it. So now that this has happened, I think the word is going to spread that, this isn't really it's all that glitters isn't really gold with this case where you're making all this money for charity when this is what it is. But no, I don't think they're going to continue. I think it's going to get shut down pretty quickly, and it's going to just take people like you talking about it, right? So kudos for keeping your ear to the ground and actually giving a platform for people to talk about the real issues. And I hopefully that somebody listens high up, and we can get this shut down and then changes be made. But it's crazy to me that the same people are all the ones that are involved, because some of these people were ex-Edmonton officials, displaced, and right. And it's like, come on, like you should know better. All these people talking about, we've got all of this experience and all these people who've been around all this long. Well, we know what happens when things like this, right? And even if it had nothing to do with the event, he could have done it on a treadmill. Well, guess what? He should have had an EKG or ECG before taking place, going and doing something this strenuous, if it's for somebody else's profit. Because the company that's making the money, they're not giving all the money to charity either. So that's another issue. It's not really a full charity. Somebody's getting a salary, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at the financials. There's, we're talking like $750,000 here, and they've got all these people that they've, taken out loans from and everything else. Well, if it was really that they're racking up. So, the problem is people just think that they're charity. Some of the ones that, you've seen exposed on some of the shows that you've seen that are, you donate your clothing and your used items, and they don't really go to the charity that you're donating them to. So I guess it's just, I don't know what the solution is going to be short term, other than just ban this company completely. Don't allow any, well, there should be, because I remember in Ontario when we were going through the legalization process, I was on the advisory committee. And one of the things we had was there were panels where they would test that people were skilled enough to even get in the cage the first time for an amateur event.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there. Like, why is there no process where you can actually say, like, 2 months is, you barely know how to tie your gloves up at 2 months. Right? You probably couldn't hit a heavy bag, a speed bag properly without fumbling it up. So, when I started training, I probably still wasn't throwing up after 2 months of jiu-jitsu training and kickboxing and boxing training, because they want you to throw up, because they want you to be able to get your cardio up really high. And obviously this kid wasn't there. Well, 33-year-old. Another thing, he wasn't 20, he wasn't 19. You're throwing a 33-year-old into a high-stress situation where even in the fight, the guy was sitting on top of him for a good portion of the fight. And that wears on you as well when you're trying to take heavy breaths and you can't, right? Like, there's a lot goes into it. And the other problem is that the coaches coached all of the fighters that fought. So with conflict of interest after conflict of interest after conflict of interest. Promoters can't be coaches because you shouldn't have a vested interest in anybody who wins. So it was all just, it's all just economics for them. It's just, these are future students we're going to bring in, or their family is going to be our future students because they came to the show. Like, they're just hoping that they're just going to have this stream of new students coming in. And at what end?
Yeah.
They've killed one person in Calgary. Who's going to want to fight in Calgary? I hope nobody after this. But again, fighters are so starved to fight, they'll fight wherever they can get any work. So it's sad but true. They won't have any shortage of people lining up to fight for them.
Mike, great stuff. People out there want to follow more. I know it's going to be out at realfightstories.com up very quickly. As always, really appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks, Jason. We'll talk soon, hopefully over better and brighter things.
You betcha. That's Mike Russell, realfightstories.com. That's, for Trocon's family. It's like the worst possible outcome, of course. And I think people need to open their eyes. Jelena Marjanovic said it on our show many years ago, and I thought it was great. You can't play boxing. You can't play mixed martial arts, right? It's very different. And I know there's a little, hey, everybody, hey, how can I do? Can I be a fighter? Can I be a fighter? There's a lot more risks involved than people think. Quick break. We'll come back after a Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in. You see the roads, you're slipping all over the place. We'll get some winter tires put on, and you can get a great deal, savings up to $225 off a select set of 4 tires, including Goodyear, right now at Fountain Tire, fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Calgary Stampeders acquired American quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. from the BC Lions. The Lions receive a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick in this year's draft, as well as the Stamps' second-round pick in 2026. BC also sending their 2025 fourth-rounder and a third-round pick in 2026. From the NHL, the New Jersey Devils forward Timo Meier was suspended for 1 game for cross-checking. The incident occurred in the third period of the Devils' 5-2 win over the Preds. Meier received a 5-game cross-checking penalty and a misconduct on the play on the ice tonight. Just 2 games on the schedule. Bruins and the Canucks meeting in Boston, and Utah and Montreal taking on the Canadiens. Both of those games will start at 5 o'clock in the association. We've got NBA Cup group play rolling on. Bulls take on the Wizards. Heat host the Bucks. Rockets up against the Timberwolves. Jazz host the Spurs. And the Lakers head to the desert, where they will take on the Sun. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by former NHLer Jason Strudwick. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously.
So this is a migrant.
The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNuggets, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
Albertans are always on the go for work, for
brighter.
play, and from downtown to wide
Better and
open
brighter
spaces.
things.
Nobody keeps Albertans moving like Dedham Ford. They've delivered the service and value buyers want for over 65 years. Now, for a limited time, enjoy cash savings up to $16,000 or rates as low as 0% during Dedham Ford's Black Friday blowout. Keep life moving courtesy of where cars always cost less. Dedham Ford at Wetaskiwin or at dedhamford.ca.
This Saturday, 6 p.m. till midnight. Don't miss the 70th annual Kinsman Radio Auction. The Kinsman Club of Camrose invites you to join the fun and support their largest fundraiser of the year. Bid on a huge selection of items donated by generous local businesses. All proceeds will help the Kinsmen serve our community's greatest needs. The Kinsman Radio Auction. For details, find them on Facebook. You can also join the bidding in person this Saturday night. Main Street, Camrose, corner of 50th and 50th in the former Just For You building.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock. Oh, this is an old school tune. Woo! Nice. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan on a lovely Tuesday. Well, it's a little chilly. Let's not kid ourselves. This morning, brisk minus 18. Burr. I will say this, though. Thankfully, there's all the snow. Because when they're at the cold, at least if I have snow, I'm like, okay, I can live with it. It looks better than the brown. The ODRs are usually open. You can go tobogganing, skiing. At least you can do some things. When you got no snow and it's cold out, like you're doing nothing. It's brutal. So at least the snow for me kind of says, okay, winter's here. Yeah, I don't love the cold, but I can deal with it a little bit better. So hopefully you feel the same. And yeah, I wouldn't even mind more. I'll be honest. I would take more snow. More snow, the better. Love it. Love it. And we haven't. You know what? It's been pretty dry, so a lot of snow can help us come springtime. So if we're gonna have cold, we might as well have the snow. That's just it's my thought process on that. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And you know what? Hey, speaking of might as well, you might as well win. Lotto Max, 80 million. It's the new high ever. Most 80 schmil. So get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Also 14 max millions. We got a lot of text to get to. We asked this and you delivered. So we asked earlier. TR has some tales. Sometimes we have question period. We've had a few people send them in questions. So we've had people. Gregor, I want to ask TR a question. So we'll get to that in TR's tales brought to you by Action Electrical, where they're always looking to help you on your savings. Are you a commercial builder and you've been looking to get solar? Did you know there's a huge tax rebate that you can get? You probably didn't. Well, go to actionelectrical.net and they will help you save your money. TR, how you doing?
I am doing all right. And speaking of the weather, yeah, so we've had it's like 8 or 9 degrees yesterday. I don't know. I got back. Like we've had no snow, but we set a record. So there hasn't been a day without rain since October 23rd. You can look this up. This is all over the news over here. Yeah. So now I've been gone for most of it, but apparently it's just been like fog. You can't even see across the street. So today there was a little bit of sun. It was all right, but everybody was telling me, oh, it's unbelievable. What a day. I'm like, it's okay out. But yeah, since October 23rd, it's been raining every single day. And I just found that out today, talking to some locals.
Jeez, you guys live in Vancouver or something? Oh my God, that is crazy. Well, we'll get to some questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so this one comes in from, ironically, Paul. I don't think it's Biz, but you never know. TR, have you ever been in a restaurant fight like Biz Nasty? And did you see that story?
Wow. I did see the story. I saw it late though. Again, I was in transit. I just found out about it today, and I skated earlier, and I sent him a message. But so, yeah, only once. You'd think more than that, but just given the amount of times I've spent in establishments that serve alcohol and invite the public. So 2003, I went back to Quesnel. My buddy had gotten married, Curtis Fenton, and I had to miss the wedding. So I figured I'd go back, and I let all the guys know about this. So I played for the Quesnel Millionaires, of course, in the early 90s. This was 2003. Anyway, I went back and we all decided we would go out. Forget the name of the restaurant, but it was attached to a bar called, and I think it was still called Hooligans at the time. Anybody from there knows what I'm talking about. It might have been changed, but I know when I played hockey there, it was the old Hooligans. I know that.
Okay.
So, I mean, surprise, the very time was at a place called Hooligans. I mean, anyway, but we're should have known. Anyway, we're walking in. We just eaten on one side, man. And I was going in, and the guy gave us a bit of a hard time in line. And I don't know. I really don't know exactly how it started. I know that I was with a group of hockey players that were, I guess, excited to see it. Maybe some testosterone. I know that we didn't start it. Someone said something, they beaked, whatever. The next thing I know, okay, this is full on. This is full on. I'm just turning around. I don't even know who I'm getting. It's just like Roadhouse. You think, oh, it's cool. This isn't cool. I'm going, I don't know what's going to happen, man. People are picking up chairs and smash. I get one right across the face. I mean, I'm trying to throw. I don't really know, but I get one right across the face. Bust my nose. It's all over my shirt. I got pictures of this somewhere in the depths of Facebook back in the day, and Facebook wasn't around, but I reposted them just before I get any emails. So, but anyway, I'm with my buddies Chris Spencer. I'm with Curtis Fenton and Ryan Marsh. Anyway, all this happens, and Marshy's family's from there. I know he's in Edmonton, a good friend of your show. His family's from there. I would always go back and stay there. So anyway, a girl that I recognize behind me, I went to high school with, Jennifer Tansky. She says, "Come with me. Come with." This is chaos going on, right? And the other side of it is that I'm playing pro hockey. I don't know what's going to happen. I get guilty by association. I'm all for the boys. I'm making sure that I don't leave before it ends or anything. But I kind of go out and like me and a few of the boys spill out into the crowd. Police and everything break it up. We're all on one side. I said, okay. She takes me back and ends up, cleaning my wounds, for lack of a better way to put it. Now, I end up marrying her. Okay, I laugh about it now. We got divorced about a year and a half later. Listen to this, though. I can't believe you asked me the question. I marry her. She comes with me to Colorado Springs, and then, that was all while I was hurt and I was pretty much done my hockey career. It was that. So maybe it was 01. Yeah, that's it. So sorry, it was 01, I guess. But in any case, it happened in the summer of. And then anyway, she comes with me to Orlando. We ended up realizing this was all within a couple of years, that we weren't probably the best couple. So we break up. All good. A couple of years later, I kind of lose touch with her, I guess. And it wasn't anything malicious or from her or my part. She got remarried. I'm like, okay, leave that. I went on my way. She went on hers. And it never really came up. I run into her 2 days ago in Red Deer. She didn't live in Red Deer. She's from Quesnel. She lived with me in Colorado, Cincinnati, and Orlando. Okay, came back to St. John's. By the time my career was shut completely, we got back here. She drove the Camaro one way. I kept the Durango here. Never saw her again. Okay, well, like 2 or 3 years later, I did, but I hadn't seen her since like 07. Okay, it was 07 the last time I saw her, and I'm out to drop the puck at a Black Falls Bulldogs game 2 days ago. The game gets canceled. So I stayed in Red Deer. I'm going to go to the Rebels game that night because I used to play for the Rebels. I had not much to do. I go to the mall. There's nobody there. She didn't live in Red Deer ever. One of the guys she ended up meeting after that is from there. So she just happened to be. There's about 5 people in the mall. It was a snowstorm. And I walked in. I'm walking one way. She's walking the other. What are the odds on that?
Oh, my God. That is too funny.
So yes, I have been in one bar/pub fight. They served food, wasn't a restaurant, whatever. But secondly, I ran into my ex, and we had a great time. By the way, we had a nice coffee. I met her 2 kids, and they were awesome.
Well, I just learned now that you were married twice before. I thought you were only married once before. So there you go. That question I just learned something else new. So who knows? We'll get to. I do have this one just because it's going to make me chuckle. I always like when people are asking you suddenly now, like you're. Dear Abby, dear TR. Hey guys, I have to say, I love when Terry answers those questions that are relationship related. I don't want to say my real name just in case some of my buddies are listening. So let's just go with Bob. I've dated a girl now for 3 years, and I was ready to pop the question. Just let me read this together. I was ready to pop the question, but I got cold feet. Because I don't think she's the one. Should I trust my gut or am I just a chicken? From Bob. We've lived together for the last 2 years of the relationship, and I think she's waiting for a ring.
I mean, are you going to let me? Well, I just told you.
You go ahead, and then I'll tell you my answer.
Okay. Well, I mean, definitely 100% wait. I jumped in. Now, I jumped in twice. They were both different circumstances, but let's just talk about marriage number 1, which I think if he's saying the question, he's popping the question, he's lived with it, sounds like it's his first. Maybe not, but it does make a bit of a difference because you don't know. You have no experience. You have no idea I know it happened to me twice, but of course I've had girlfriends since. Of course, now I realize, okay, I get it. you can be in love. You can have the most, you can be inspired. What is love? A combination of respect and inspiration, and, this trust is a big one. And, they're all there. But after a while, that lust kind of wears off in a way. I mean, there's ways to keep it sparking, but it does, right? And all of a sudden you're with each other every single minute of every single day outside of work, and in special circumstances, things change. You're saying 3 years like it's 30 years. I'd give it another 4 years. I'd give it double what you've already given it, and then some, because there's no need to rush into something like that. It's possibly the biggest decision you'll ever make. And I'm lucky that both my exes are good people that I can still talk with. We didn't have more kids. I've got one daughter that I absolutely love that we share. Who knows? They could live in Zimbabwe. There's so many things that fell into place, even though I made mistakes. And I don't know, but anybody else out there listening, I'll add one thing to that I love my personal time. And I don't know, I'm not saying it'll never happen again, but I would really like when you're alone, that's big time. Not when you're out, when you're having fun or anything. You come home. I like to come home and play a record whenever I want to. I want to play PlayStation sometimes. I can do whatever I want when I'm not working, because even though I've dated people, I don't know how long. I might even get married again. I don't know if I'll ever live with somebody. And that's the truth. I know you didn't ask for that, but it's Terry's Tales, and I added that at the end. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, for me, I'm a big believer in listen to your gut. Your gut is your intuition. And if it's telling you it's not about being scared or anything, you're just like, you know what? It's not. Some people are great people, but hopefully, usually marriage is a long-term commitment. Sometimes you get lucky and you can get married and then you guys get divorced, and there's not a lot of drama post-divorce, especially maybe if you don't have kids, but there can be a lot of issues. So Bob, as we'll call you, I would listen to your internal gut. But here's the other thing. Don't keep stringing her along. That's unfair. If you think she's waiting and you're not going to be there, then just be like, okay. And this is the hardest thing for most of us to accept, but you're not that important. She's not going to die, right? She'll move on. She might be hurt, but she'll move on. And then, you know what? She'll be better off. You'll both be better off, because if you don't want to and she wants to, then if you respect her enough, you have to move on. That would be my advice, because I've seen way too many people just stay in it. Like, you think it's going to get better. If you think in 3 years that it's not great, it ain't going to get better.
And lots do. They stay in it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. What to do? We got Cons. What's that picture?
From Jamie B. It is a newspaper headline: "Millionaires stop crime in its tracks." Literally.
Yeah, man.
The Quesnel millionaires became crime fighters Tuesday evening when they interrupted 3 men who had broken into the country haven and were trying to make off with money and liquor.
Tracked them down. Yeah, that was back in my actual time. And me and my buddies tracked them down, and to be honest, we kicked the out of them. Yeah, man. These people were robbing trucks and stuff. We came out after hockey practice. Not that you asked. Do you want me to elaborate? Sorry, I'm a little jacked up on caffeine here. You want me to tell you the story?
Well, we got to go to a break, and then we'll come to the story. We'll get to the story in a bit,
Okay.
because we just got to get to a break here on this. Crime fighter Terry Ryan. I love it. Next on the Jason Gregor Show at Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I'm Gene Principe for Legacy Heating and Cooling. Some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your muddy ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems workings right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no prints of payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You've heard people say dream big and think about your future. Well, at GS Construction, we live by those words every day. You see, GS Construction lays pipes in the underground systems in your area. So we don't just think about today. We think about tomorrow and the future of Edmonton's communities and neighborhoods, the places we call home and the places we will call home. We're there when new neighborhoods are developed and return when it's time to replace them. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
It's Black Friday at The Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, shop incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m., like free local delivery on purchases over $4.99. Friday only, save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
So this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site heavy equipment service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, geez. Might have to let this one go a little longer. Oof. Pisani somewhere is swaying, even though he doesn't like it. Secretly, I think he does like it. We'll get to Struds on, and then we'll get Struddy's. We'll see if Struddy was a crime fighter like TR. We get to Struds on. Brought to you by Action Electrical. Take action on your savings right now. ActionElectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea. It is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you had me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. I mean, you need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
Struddy, how you doing?
Pretty good. Nice tunes there today, guys. Everyone's fired up.
Oh yeah, not bad. Now, well, we got this picture in from Jamie where TR back when he was a youngster in Quesnel, him and his teammates fended off. They stopped crime literally in their How old were you, TR, when you did this?
I was 15.
15, and you and what, 4 of your teammates?
Yeah, we came out after practice and they'd already been on some kind of a run. We didn't know that. They were just trying to break into one of the cars. It wasn't ours either. We kind of saw them way over on the other side of the parking lot. Something was amiss. And tracked them down. And, it didn't last long. We called the cops and then just tracked them down. And it did get physical. But, that's what happens, I suppose, when you're a crime fighter.
Struddy. Struddy, ever been a crime fighter? You ever, you and your junior teammates ever stop anybody in action?
Not very close, but I didn't even stop anyone from jaywalking. I just stay in my own lane. I'm not. I let the superheroes and the heroes do that. I what am I going to do? What am I going to?
Now that's not always true, Struds. There was the one time when Jason Strudwick, as a recent young father, was in his vehicle with his kids and had to step out of the vehicle to tell a guy to calm down, if my memory is correct.
That is true, but I wasn't stopping at the guy. Yeah, so what happened? I was over by Earl's on 170th, and this guy was just all over me. And he was in his car. He got a red light, and he walked up and was banging on my window. So I rolled down and said, "If you don't get back in your car, you won't be able to get back in your car." And that was it. He was done. He went back in his car. My two babies were in the back seat. Like, he was yelling at me to get out and fight. I'm like, what? I didn't even do anything wrong. It was a one-way road, and I snapped, but I let him know in pretty aggressive terms what was going to happen. And so that wasn't, I didn't really save anybody. Like, maybe I saved them from a beating.
True. It is true. Road rage can come up on you, and you're a pretty calm guy, so I could just imagine. Now, if your kids weren't in the vehicle, would Jason Strudwick gotten out of the vehicle?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'd like to think I had it. I've seen road rage fights, and I just don't. I mean, it's crazy. You're just driving along, all of a sudden, two people jump out of the car and they're fighting. But, when someone's, you're just sitting there and someone's pounding on your window, like, and you're at a red light, like, I think at some point you have to say something and do something. So I'd like to think I wouldn't have got out. I probably would have driven away, but I don't know. You never know in those moments, right? When you're attacked, you kind of hit not the panic button, but what is it, DEFCON 4 or 5, whatever you hit. Yeah. And then bad things can happen all around.
Mm-hmm. It's true. You know what? It takes a lot for Struddy to snap, but when he does, we've seen it. So it can happen. A
flying elbow from Brian Southerby. That he deserved. He deserved that beat down.
Chris Barch, that's still my favorite one when you push Stortini out of the way. That's the one when I could tell you were really mad.
That is funny.
Let's get to the order, Struds. They handed a beat down to the Rangers on Saturday night, and really, pretty much everything functioned on their team except their power play. And so I'll get to the penalty kill in a second because it's found their stride. The power play is still lost, and I went back and been watching a lot of the film, and it looks like power plays from what I see, Struds, they've made it their whole focus. We're not getting beat by the seam pass. Right, whether it's through the seam or down low, we're not getting beat by the seam pass, and so it's almost like they're saying, "Here, Nugent Hopkins, you and Bouchard can shoot." And those guys were the fourth and fifth option for shooting the puck the last few years on the power play. And so, how do the Oilers power play switch it back? Because you got an extra guy out there. You got to be able to figure it out. How can they get back to having success? Or do you think it's time with 22 games of a potential personnel change and maybe someone gets Nugent Hopkins' spot?
Yeah, so that's a really good breakdown. I know you've talked about Bouchard's blocks as well on there.
Yeah.
And I could only speak from a defensive position, is that when there's not a shot on net for me to react to and to get running around, or there aren't passes zipping through the seam and there's lots of movement, I don't have to move too much. So it's relatively easy for me to get in the shooting lane. So in this case, it's easy for the forward to get in the shooting lane of Bouchard. And then, when it goes over to Nuge or on the flank, in some cases, Draisaitl, you don't have to move that far because you weren't moving in the first place. I can see it coming. I can step out into that shooting lane and either A, block the shot or make him change his shot, or C, not take the shot at all, which is probably the best outcome for everybody in that situation. So they have to find a way to get that puck moving and to get their bodies moving more around. They've been so stationary, and that's a godsend for a penalty kill. Like, think back to when they were really rolling. Everybody's moving. McDavid was not only going low, but TR, this. I think it's called the high roll, where they pass it up, and then he goes and literally leaves the zone, and then comes back in, gets a puck back, and now he's skating downhill. And we haven't really seen that from him, and that's a hard thing to defend because you're now flat-footed as a defender, either the forward, the D-man, and you have 97 coming at you. You have to react to his speed. Now that leaves someone else open for a pass and hopefully a shot at the end of that play.
Well, here I'm watching how teams penalty kill, and there's Oilers in about maybe 3 or 4. I might be missing some, but the majority of teams now seem to be penalty killing. So that when McDavid does that rush down play, you kind of run into the D-men. They've all switched, right? They got the 3 up. So do you think that movement still works against the 3 up?
Well, it's just to get moving. So it doesn't have to be necessarily that play exactly, but you have to get moving. So if there's more pressure up high, then you have to make plays more down low. So, you see some teams, and I don't love it, but you put guys below the goal line, and then you're playing more down there. I don't love that because as a killer, I'm like, that guy's not going to score. So I'm not even worried about him, unless he walks out, but hopefully I can meet him. But, whether it's the play I talked about, the high roll or whatever it is, there has to be more movement. They have to move. It's too stationary. So you look at the second unit, there's a bit more, well, those guys are shooting it from the point. They're going to get it through. They're trying to get it through. And then there's a bit more movement from it. So it's a bit more chaos. And you get chaos off of a shot or more passing. And, how often have we seen that top unit, Greg's, get that chaotic, it's just a flurry of activity. Everyone's moving, pucks are flying around. No one really knows what's going on defensively. And then it's in the back of the net because Leon had a wide open shot.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that. People are holding tight. They're protecting the middle of the ice. They're saying, we'll let you shoot from the outside. We'll try to stay in our lanes and we'll force you to be stagnant. And they are being stagnant. And they have to get moving more.
So on the opposite side of things, Struts, what do you think? What do you owe the instant success to the penalty kill to?
So I'm a big believer that their penalty kill was the most valuable player for them last year from, let's call it this time on. They won so many games off their penalty kill. It brought energy to the group. And then even more importantly, well, not more play, but as importantly, they'd send out Leon, Connor, and then name the third player would go out there and they'd get more energy off that. And they would just get rolling and playing well. So I think it's a huge part of their identity and how they had success in the playoffs last year. I think number one, they're getting some saves, right? They're getting some saves from their netminders. Number two, I think that the shots goalies are facing are a little bit more predictable. It's not just like I talked about when the Oilers are rolling. It's a little bit more predictable. Like you're going to get shots, but can you kind of see it coming, right? It kind of goes from side up over in a shot. Okay, I can see that coming. So they're doing those two things. So a lot of it revolves around the goalie and then confidence. You go, what was it, 6 games in a row, I think, Greg's, before they're on their 7 streak of letting goals in. You have no confidence, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you're feeling good and you're getting out there and you're feeling good about yourself. And then let's not overlook Ty Emerson jumping in beside Ekholm.
Yeah.
I think that's been a nice kind of subtle change by, I don't know who you want to give credit to, Coffey or Stewart or Knobloch, but it's number one, it's made the PK better. And 2, it's given him confidence to be the player that, we all want him to see and be.
Yeah, their penalty kill, you're right. It gives them a lot of momentum. There's no question about it. And it struggled early for sure. They got some continuity. They got some guys kind of figured out who to play with. Emerson and Ekholm have found some continuity, kind of like Desharnais and Ekholm last year, right? So that's helped that out. Their forwards are, I think, back to reading off one another well. And it's not only that they're killing off power play. In a lot of cases, they're not even getting up shots, right? And it becomes a big momentum boost. And, this year their 5-on-5 scoring is great because their power play scoring, like Leon Draisaitl is leading the league in goals. He leads the league in even strength goals with 14. He's got 2 power play goals. Like his career high in even strength goals is 31, and he's got 14 already in only 22 games. So, it's a good thing he's scoring there because like their power play, if their power play ever wakes up, then I think the Oilers could go back to being a really, truly dominant team again. I think it's their power play right now. Like their 5-on-5 scoring, we'll see more, but hey, they had a game. They've had a few games here, but their power play has yet to even have one game where they've scored even 2 power play goals.
No, and he nailed it. So, you start seeing things fall into place. And I've used the word they've been in a fog. And I get it. You go to game 7, you don't win. It's heartbreaking. And then you realize how far you have to go again to get to that level. But there's things are starting to, the defense seems to be figuring out. The goalies, you hope that they keep taking steps forward. The penalty kill. And then the 5-on-5 winger scoring is a big one, right? We're looking at Nuge. We're looking at Hyman. Arvidsson, all these guys, Skinner, I'm not sure where he fits into it all, but you're starting to see some things fall in. If you get that power play going, because now when the power play and penalty kill are both going, that gives you such an advantage. It's like you're going in +1 or +2 into games. And that we saw that often last year. We haven't seen that enough this year. More often in the beginning of the year, we were seeing when the penalty kill was struggling, they were -1, -2, even some nights -3. And that's a real hard hole to dig out of with specialty teams.
Yeah. Looking at Pod Colson and what he's done, he finally got a goal. It's a nice goal. You saw his reaction. It's a huge weight off his shoulders. And the reason why I see him having success with Draisaitl is Draisaitl's the unicorn in the NHL. He's the only player in the last 12 years who has they only got to do it multiple times, 50 goals and 50 assists in the same season. Like, if he does it again this year, he'll be only the 9th player all time to do it 4 times in the career. And all the other guys basically did it in the 90s or Phil Esposito 80s and 70s. So to play with Draisaitl, he's not like McDavid's probably better of a forechecker. His speed, he gets on guys. Draisaitl, that's not his forte. So you need somebody who can forecheck with him. And that's what Podkolzin does. Get him the puck, and then he'll make plays, right? And I look at Podkolzin and I look at Jeff Skinner, and the reason Podkolzin's being a better fit with Draisaitl is because he's actually a better forechecker than Skinner. And that's why I look and say, at some point, Struddy, Skinner's the guy to try with McDavid because he's a better shooter. McDavid doesn't need a forechecker. He has Hyman, great. But he could use a shooter who thinks the game. And I just wonder at some point if we ever see Skinner, because I don't see Skinner and Draisaitl really ever panning out, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, first on Paul Colson, if Leon didn't like playing with him, he wouldn't be there for that long. I think he loves it because, as you highlighted, he goes and gets the puck and he gives it to Leon, and then he's trying to get open and he can make plays. He's not just shoveling it around. He can make subtle little plays to get it to Leon, and Leon wants the puck, and he loves having the puck on his stick. And I think that's the problem with Skinner, is that Skinner loves the puck on his stick as well as Leon, but when you're playing as Leon gets the puck. He's the one that should be funneling the puck to him. I think that's one of the adjustments Skinner has to make. He has to understand that he doesn't have to skate around the ice with the puck on his stick. He can give it to 97-29, get it, a quick little move, give it to them, then get open. They'll find you because they want you to shoot. Like, I'm sure Leon would like for Paul Colton to have more goals, or any of their wingers to have more goals. They don't have it, so he's a guy that can shoot and score. But it doesn't mean you need to have the puck on your stick. He's got to give it up to those two guys because they're the ones that, quite frankly, everyone on the team, including the coaches, probably want to have on their stick is those guys.
TR?
It's a Struts. I got a quick question, and it was a young junior kid asked me this, and he said, he asked me, but I'm asking you because you're a D. Would it be advantageous if you're, I guess, a teenager to be breaking down the game like you do? Like, I never really watched video. It can't hurt. But I said, at first, my first reaction was like, oh God, that's too much. You don't have to worry about that. But then I thought about it. Like, right now, you see the game pretty well. Like, had you known this, like you probably didn't see it like this when you were in junior. Would you have done this? Would it have helped? I don't know how you go about it, but I'm guessing you watch games and you break down, how the play is developing. And I never, ever did that. And I didn't know what to tell the kid. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I wish I would have coached before I played. I would have been a way better player.
But that's true. Some people do when they're 13 and 14. They coach. It's probably a good point.
Well, it's just understanding how simple the game is. So let's just look as a D-man. What are the top 2 things you have to do? I got to break the puck out. Okay, it's not easy, but defend one-on-one. Okay, well, I can work on my skating and I can figure that out. Getting to the middle in the offensive zone, you get the puck, like jumping off the wall or working the blue line. Think of Quinn Hughes and Makar. Yep, not easy, but after I'm 8 years old, I figured that out. I got 10 years till I'm 18. I should be decent at it. Maybe sticks and lanes, those types of things. Like, those are kind of the basics that a D-man has to do. And not that I wasn't aware when I was playing, but just seeing it now as a coach, how clear it is that these are things, if you can do it over and over and over again, you're a serviceable player on any team, whether you're, tier 5 or elite AAA U18, it doesn't matter. And as far when I was younger, I watched hockey. I enjoyed watching it, but I had Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier to watch, so it was pretty fun. But the kids in Edmonton now, well, you can watch any team, but they get to see Leon and Connor and Bouchard. So I think watching players, you'll learn a lot. And I think that one of the challenges, I know I've personally as a coach, is that most kids don't watch hockey. they watch highlights.
Yeah.
So they see, whoever, Leon Draisaitl do an incredible move that you didn't see the previous 20 seconds where Ty Emerson blocked the shot, did an outlet to Paul Colton who protected the puck on the wall. He dishes it to Leon on the inside. There's someone streaking wide who passes it over to him, gets it back to Leon, he scores. Like, you didn't see everything that happened to get to that point. So I don't think they really have that sense of the game from watching hockey and just seeing, these are how these guys at this highest level do it. I can copy that and be similar. I think you learn faster by watching others.
It's a good point.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point. And it's true that, to watch it and not just the highlights, because hey, you can watch the highlights too, but you should be able to try to watch a period sometimes and just notice certain positionings, especially for defensemen. When you mention kind of keep it simple to three things, like, of course, everybody wants to move the puck, right? But, like I asked Connor McDavid today, because I was doing a story on Leon Draisaitl, and where Leon Draisaitl's numbers after the first quarter, fellas, they're Selke Trophy worthy of the conversation based on last year, based on this year. He leads the whole NHL in shot for percentage at 5-on-5. He's in the top at even strength. He's in the top 6 in goal for percentage and everything else, not to mention, he's leading the league in even strength goals and second in points and all these things. But I was asking McDavid, I said, okay, what are the 3 things or 3 or 4 that you find the toughest to penetrate against good forwards in the defensive zone? And so he says, number 1, size. Bigger guys, they reach, they take up more space. Speed, guys who can move. And then 3, he said, good stick. And he goes, it gets overlooked by a lot of players what a good stick means. So, Struz, I want to ask you, what's your definition of a good stick in the defensive zone?
Okay, I love this. So this is one of my favorite things I'm working on right now. If I'm standing in my own zone, I take up a certain amount of space, and my stick is in the air, I take up way less. As soon as I put my stick down, and especially if I have it perpendicular to the passing lane that someone's trying to create on me, and I'm moving it back and forth, it now makes me way bigger, because the reach of my stick, whether I'm 7 or 77, is way longer than the reach of my big right toe, right? You're standing in that area. So I think understanding, watching the other player's eyes, where he's trying to go, and shoulder check to see what the guys behind me, where they're trying to move. And if I can keep my stick in the passing lane and my body position, ready to stop the player if he tries to jump to the net, that's elite defending. And I think of one guy who is so good at it, Nick Lidstrom. Nick Lidstrom took 2 hard strides in his whole life. I think it was both times he was on a breakaway. He didn't have to move. He was in the right place. His stick was always in the pass lane. His body was just a step back away so he could jump in if someone tried to penetrate the zone. And like Ryan O'Reilly, if you watch him at Nashville, he's got a great stick for a forward, really, really good stick. And Leon's is pretty good too. And it's so hard because he looks so much bigger. But watch any game. How often do D-men and forwards in their own zone have their stick in the air? And guys just pass pucks underneath and they try to put their stick down. You're not getting there in time unless you're super, super quick.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And it was one and that's what McDavid said. He goes, he thinks Leon is really overlooked in how good of a stick he has in the defensive zone. So I had a really good conversation with him about that today. Well, actually it was yesterday. And just, about Draisaitl, and, he hasn't spoke to the media, so I get to talk to him on Thursday about it, but it is an element of his game. And, you look defensively, I think Ekholm has that in the D zone for Edmonton. And right. He's very good at it. And a guy who, and we'll play the interview I had with Nurse later in the show, but Darnell Nurse, Struds, for the last month has arguably Muir's best defenseman. Like, he looked really good again against the Rangers, and he seems to be doing a little bit less, which leads him to doing more.
Yeah. And I think that we got to start the conversation by saying that oftentimes it comes from such a place of wanting to be Superman for your team. I'm going to do something incredible this shift. And then when you try to do too much, that's oftentimes we run out of position. And I think what Darnell's done, I think Darnell's got it. Now, there's 2 different ways of using a stick. A stick on puck. So let's say Terry Ryan's going down the wall, and I get my stick in front of it, my blade in front of his blade, so it limits his ability of what to do. So I call that stick on puck. Mm-hmm. But then there's having a good stick. And having a good stick is where maybe TR's in the corner, and my partner's there, and I'm standing more in front, and my stick is trying to take away a passing lane. So there's stick on puck and stick in the pass lane. I think Darnell has a pretty good stick on puck. I think one of his challenges has been that stick, on the ice in the lanes that we talked about earlier. And I think he's starting to get back to understanding that he's so quick, he's so long, he takes up so much space. When he has a stick in the lane, it really helps his D-man in the corner because now that guy can't make a play because you're denying passes to the middle. So I think he's adding that, and I think he's understanding it. I feel like this year, his stick in the lane has been a lot better to go along with his stick on puck.
Struddy, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Stay calm on your drive home today, and we will chat with you next Tuesday.
Thanks, boys. Talk to you later.
There you go. That's Jason Strudwick, co-host of the Got Your Back podcast. Joins us every Tuesday here on Sports 1440. We'll return with 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show with Terry Ryan, Connor Halley, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $80 million up for grabs tonight. Lotto Max, get your tickets.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort, legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venues.
Struz, I want to ask you, what's your definition of a
1 million
good
visitors
stick in the
during
defense?
iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquacentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNuggets, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
Portions of this hour brought to you by UL. Get your power play amped up with UL, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. UL.ca is your partner in power.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
454. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan on Sports 1440, Orders Nation YouTube and Facebook. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it's time for 5 questions brought to you by The Brick and the Big Black Friday sales this Friday, 7 a.m. First 10 people in line, you're going to get a $50 GC. And then, man, you got savings of 60% off certain appliances. You're going to get 50% off mattresses, whatever you're looking for. You want to do some Christmas shopping for a friend? Now's the time this Friday at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. It's been a couple of weeks since the Oilers made the coaching change and hired Chris Knobloch. Just want to ask you, has there been any area in his coaching game that you've seen him grow the most?
Ooh, it's probably a better question for a player, but I don't know. I think he deals with the media. I don't know about better, but he seems more comfortable. A lot of what goes into coaching, I think, would come behind closed doors. But from what I see, he looks much more comfortable with the media, and I suppose that would extend into his position in the NHL.
I'm going to say I think the growth we've seen is he holds his players. Not that he didn't hold them accountable, but hey, when you sat Draisaitl for a bit, to me, that's just showing, hey guys, like it doesn't matter who you are, and look at how well Draisaitl's played. Not that he was playing terrible before, but he'd been taking too many penalties. He was. He sat him down for 5 minutes, and there's a leader who got the message. And I don't even know. I got to go back and look. How many penalties Draisaitl taken since? Not many. So I would say understanding your team and have the confidence to say, you know what? I got to crack down on whoever it is and make an example of him in a respectful way.
Question number 2. Right now, the New York Rangers, 20 games played, a record of 12-7-1, fourth in the Metro. Seeing rumors of some potential trades with Trouba and Kreider's names being thrown out there. Realistically, do you think they would move on from those guys?
Well, Trouba's got a no movement clause, right? Didn't he? I don't know if you saw his comments. He just said, "Hey, this is a rumor, and until they come to me, I have a no movement clause. I ain't worrying about it." So, you know what? In the summer, he's like, "No, I'm not doing it." Now, you know what? Maybe at some point you're like, "Geez, if nobody really wants me, okay, I'll move on." But until then, how serious it is? Chris Kreider. It's another interesting name. I got to look at Kreider. I haven't even looked at what his contract situation is, but he's a big, strong, powerful forward who can really skate. I don't know if Chris Kreider is the main issue on that team. Now he has 2 years left at 6.5, but man, like he can skate. So I don't think Kreider's age is a real big issue. He was never going to be the 50 goal scorer again. That's fair. But man, if they're retaining salary and they're training Chris Kreider, I think there'd be a lot of teams interested.
Yeah, I agree. Kreider, I was so surprised to hear that. I think he's value. He's 33, and he's, for a 33-year-old, he takes his body seriously, man. This guy works hard. And when the playoffs come, it seems he works harder. 6.25, I think, is a steal. Even this year, he's having an off year. He's got like 9 or 10 goals already.
Yeah, he's second on their team in goals. Like, he has no assists, but still, he's got 9 goals. I'm not necessarily certain I'm trading him.
Good Lord. I think on top of all that, being a good player, he's probably a good leader. He seems like one to me. Again, a lot of that happens behind closed doors, but seems to me of all the people you'd want to get rid of. Now, Trouba, yeah, I mean, this came up a few months ago. He didn't want to go. He's got a no trade, but I could see that happening before Kreider. But I think both are, the odds are against both.
Question number 3, CHL USA Prospect Challenge goes tonight from London, Ontario. Is there a player you're looking forward to watch the most?
I'm really looking forward to seeing Blake Fiddler play. This, right-hand shot, big guy. His father played, so probably got some athletic genes, but I love to see the big right-hand shot Ds coming up the line because there's just not many of them, and each one that shows any bit of potential or at all could be a unicorn type of a guy close to. So I'm intrigued by Blake Fiddler.
I'll go with the big 6'3", 210-pounder Porter Martone. He's lots of people think he might push to be a top pick. I haven't seen him play this year, but he's got 17 goals, 12 26 assists in 21 games. God, he's averaging 2 points a game in the OHL, and he's draft eligible. Like, you kidding me? Fire me up. I want to see this guy.
Question number 4, Vernon Adams obviously traded to the Calgary Stampeders today. With that, how confident are you Tre Ford's back in the green and gold next season?
100%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have thought one led to the other for sure. So, yes, I think it's 100%.
And a final question for you. Today's International Cake Day. So in honor of that, what is your favorite cake? Could be a flavor, a location, whatever it might be. Favorite cake of all time?
Cake. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a sweet tooth, but it would be some form of chocolate cake. I love cheesecake. Either one of those. The rest of them, you can take them or leave them. But whatever comes out at whatever dessert that is at the keg, so something that universally is known, I like that one. I don't order many desserts, but I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about. I don't know the name of it, but a lot of the boys get it when we go in Sudbury. I didn't have one until then, and I absolutely love it, whatever cake that is.
That's a really good question, Collins. And I knew this question was coming. So
yeah,
I thought about it lots. And it's good it wasn't a pie question, because pie, there's way more options.
Yes.
I am going to go with the homemade chocolate cake that my mother taught me to make when I was 10. And I still make it. My son now makes it. It's a very simple recipe. But the key to the cake is the homemade icing that goes with it. So you can have a good cake, but if you don't have the icing, it's not complete.
Are you ever going to let that, is that going to go public, or is that just for your ears and eyes only, your family?
Well, it's a good question, TR. You know what? Sometimes you could give the recipe to the person, but do they have the skills to bake it correctly, right? Like, you don't want to overcook it, right? Because you can estimate a time. Everybody's oven cooks at a different speed. That's what I've known, right? So you learn a little bit over time, but it is a recipe that actually I've memorized off the top of my head. So just because I baked it so many times as a kid, my mom just started making me baking cakes because I was always annoying her in the kitchen when she was there. So she's like, well, just learn how to do it. And this is like the easiest cake you can bake, I find anyway. So if you can read instructions, you can do it. So maybe one day I'll post it, but it's a homemade chocolate cake, but it's really the icing. Like, the cake's great, and you don't want to overcook it. That's the other thing. The key is knowing when to pull the cake out of the oven. Overcooked cake, it's like a steak, man. If you don't want well, maybe you like well done, but let's be honest here. If you're having a steak and it's well done, you've kind of ruined the steak. So you want, when there's that medium rare, and then all of a sudden you get to medium, it's a fine line, and you don't want to get to medium, and you definitely don't want to do that in a cake. So homemade chocolate for sure, all day.
What about you, con man?
2 years ago, I would have said red velvet, but I've changed a little bit. I like a good ice cream cake now.
Okay.
Like a Dairy Queen ice cream cake?
Yeah. That, I don't even know what it is. Like the fudge with
that crunchy stuff?
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. It's not even real ice cream. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's still good cake.
Wow.
The Oreo cookie crumbles are good.
Yeah. Jumped all over that.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, I never praised it for being great ice cream.
A bunch of plastic.
But great cake.
I like the fact it's only 2 years ago that Strutty and you going on like a mandate or something.
No, well, Strutty, yeah, he tries to share our chocolate cake with us at trivia nights. But no, I don't know. I feel like too many people have tried to do, the red velvet, and it's weakened it. It's not as good as it used to be.
Okay, that's valid.
Or I've changed, one of the two.
Yeah, who knows? Well, you'll get into a cake. Well, the best part is, hey guys, what about your birthday cake when you were a kid and your parents used to put quarters and dimes and nickels in it? Oh, that is a classic. I don't think they do that anymore for kids, but it was a great time period of the world when you used to get a birthday cake and you would find coins in your cake.
In the pancakes too, yeah.
Oh my God. In pancake. I never had it in pancakes, but we had a cake a few times. God, when you're looking back on it, it's so funny. Kids over there horking down his piece of cake, but you're eating it so slow because you want to find the coin.
Oh yeah. All over it too.
Oh, too funny. TR, great show today, buddy. I still can't believe the story. I never knew that TR was in the bar fight. Got his nose broke with the chair. The random girl who healed him up. It was. You know what? She was like she was your what's the proper term there? She was the provider because she made you feel safe. And then you guys got married 18 months later. It didn't work out. And then randomly you ran into her a few weeks ago.
Ran into her. But you know what? We're both doing all right. So who knows? One thing maybe could have, needed to happen to lead to the other. I don't really know. But I'm happy that we're both above ground and could give each other a hug and have a chat like nothing ever happened. Well, like something important happened. But there you go.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you Thursday.
See you then. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton. See you guys in a couple days.
There you go. That was a classic story. If you missed it, you might want to get to the podcast and tune in. We'll come back. We got DVD and spec on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Here's a Con Man, a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers as the clearance wide sale is on right now at GMC. You can get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 crew cab elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Big trade in the CFL today is the Calgary Stampeders acquiring quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. from the BC Lions. The Lions receive a second and fourth round pick in this year's draft, as well as the Stamps' second round pick in 2026. BC also sending their 2025 fourth round pick and 2026 third rounder to the Stampeders. In the NHL, New Jersey Devils forward Timo Meier been suspended one game for cross-checking. The incident occurred in the third period of the Devils' 5-2 win over the Preds. Meier received a 5-minute cross-checking penalty and game misconduct on the play. On the ice, 2 games tonight, both getting going shortly. Bruins host the Canucks and the Utah Hockey Club in Montreal to take on the Canadiens in the association. NBA Cup group play continues. The Wizards host the Bulls, Bucks in Miami. Timberwolves take on the Rockets, Spurs in Utah, and the Lakers up against the Suns. One game in the AJ tonight, Canmore hosting Calgary. That one gets going just after 7 o'clock. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Derek Van Diest of NHL.com and Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here from Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
It's Black Friday at the Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m. Like free local delivery on purchases over $499. Friday only. Save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching Love Cedar chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta. DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Cross Mitsubishi rolls into winter with the hottest financing available. 0% financing.
2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross starts at $26,898 plus tax. A 2024 RVR starts as low as $22,098 plus tax.
Mitsubishi Outlander rolls out as low as $35,498 and tax. 2025 PHEV Outlanders start at just $40,498 plus tax. Get into a Mitsubishi Mirage starting at $16,848 and tax.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Avenue and crossmitsubishi.ca.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza when you use the code word 40 Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Tuesday afternoon and a record-breaking Tuesday at PlayAlberta.ca because Lotto Max $80 million. Good luck, boys and girls. You have till 8:30 tonight to get your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca. And if that's not your thing, use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Lots of texts flying in, 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox, 833-401-1440. 40. I think it was the Billy Miner pie. They're like, I don't know if that qualifies as a cake, but so that's what it is at the keg for everybody out there. Okay. All right. I don't think I've ever had it, to be honest, but now I'm intrigued. TR was really selling it up for a guy who doesn't have a sweet tooth. I'm like, okay, might have to try it. Anywho, let's go get to the oil report now. We had to switch spec because, hey, guess what? He turned 59. Guess what he needs today? New glasses. So he'll be joining us. He's just getting, I don't know if he's at the optometrist or maybe he might be at the age where he's at an ophthalmologist. We'll find out. So we switch things up a little bit. We'll get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars, Edmonton.com. They are Canada's #1 Volvo dealership. And right now they got great deals going on. 0% financing on a lease of a 2024 XC90 or the plug-in hybrid XC90 at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Stop in, say hi to Jordy. He'll give you a great deal. As we welcome in Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. DVD, how you doing?
Jason, good. How are you doing?
Hey, man, I'm great. Oilers, a skill practice today. Coach talked about, hey, you know what, guys they got to be able to handle the puck. And it was a practice where you got your puck on the stick way more. And it's kind of interesting when he says it's because it's true. A lot of times you'll practice up and down rushes and stuff, but maybe you're not touching the puck that much. And so, we'll see. Yesterday, they worked on their power play. And really, those two areas maybe combined, it's the one area of their game that is not nearly where it should be, considering the talent they have on their power play and even at 5-on-5. And I'll be curious when they come out of here against Utah, a team that can't score to save their life all of a sudden. If last year when the Oilers came out of their 5-day break, they won their first 2 games. They scored 13 goals. They had some skill stuff. They won 4 in a row, lost 3, then won 16. I don't know if we can expect a repeat. Definitely not the 16-gamer. But do you think the offense can get rolling, especially the power play?
Yeah, it's interesting the power play how he's kind of stuck with it. Or hasn't Chris Knobloch really hasn't made any changes. He hasn't changed any personnel. He hasn't like he just they're kind of what they say right about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But he's got confidence in this unit and he should. This is probably the one of the best power play units in the history of the NHL in the last couple of years. But yeah, how long is he going to go with it? When does he tweak it? When does he pull someone off and put someone else on? I think these 5 days here are really giving the Oilers a good chance to kind of reset and kind of refocus and have a look and maybe get healthy a little bit. Hyman's still out. Arvidsson's still out. So they got some injuries that are going on with it. But yeah, they got to get that power play going because they can't be where they are right now and they can't be squandering those opportunities. This is a team that teams would fear taking penalties against because you didn't want to put him on the power play. And you don't see that fear in him now. And I think teams are kind of figured something out and then they're going out there and they're succeeding. And the Oilers they haven't been able to get a step ahead of that. So I think that's the one thing that's big right now. But you and I talked about it this morning. How long before they start making some tweaks and some personnel changes go in there? How long before they pull out Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and put in a Jeff Skinner on that top unit? So it's going to be interesting to see here. They're going to go through this road trip. They got 3-game road trip here. Can they get it going? Because they have to get something going. And if they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, I don't know if they're going to be able to work their way out of it. You imagine they would with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but right now it's just not performing the way we're used to seeing it perform here in Edmonton.
We're going to try to get DVD reconnected just so it sounds a little bit better there. So we'll redo that in a second here just because it's a little bit off. But he's bang on. At some point, as good as the power play's been in the past is the past. And you're in the present now. This Friday will be game 23. They practice it all week. I'm gonna think, well, they practice it one day, but then they did some skill drills. I'm gonna guess they'll give them the weekend. And if it doesn't get going, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a change in Vegas. Because at that point, you're game 24, right? At that point, you got to look and to do something because it's not it's not good enough, and it's costing you games. Like, let's be honest, it's costing them games because they can't score continually on their power play. And as good as they've been 5-on-5. As good as they've been 5-on-5, you gotta rely on your power play at some point. You can't be a bottom 5 team in the power play and expect to be a top end team. You can't. Now you don't have to be first, but you can't be bottom 6, bottom 7 like they've been, and that's just got to get fixed. There's no 2 ways about it. And so they got to figure out, okay, why are we not having success against the penalty kills? Because penalty kills have changed a lot. Right, they do that 3-up, and it kind of limits the down low plays, and so you got to be a little bit crisper there. And Derek Van Diest is back with us now, and DVD we'll see, because I think like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is kind of the obvious change. I think they would look at first, and maybe it's Jeff Skinner probably first, maybe Arvidsson, although Arvidsson obviously isn't even healthy, so I'm going to guess it would be Skinner. Like, I guess they could try moving Nurse for Bouchard, but I think they would probably start with Nugent-Hopkins, wouldn't you?
with the penalty kill and power play because it's such a huge part of the Oilers' arsenal. Like it's such a huge part of their game, and to have them 26 down 26 at 15, 20%. That's just not acceptable to the Edmonton Oilers when you have that kind of talent on your roster with David and Drysdale and Bouchard, and obviously Edmonton probably not good for you, but yeah. That power play has to be at least top 5 in the NHL for this team to be successful.
Yeah, and like the thing is, their penalty kill, they gave it time and it's come around. Now they did switch some personnel, right? They put Emberson with Ekholm, and they made this, and their penalty kill was great. Now they had no choice because CC and Desharnais were gone, so there were some changes anyway. But I think they're reaching the point here, and my understanding is that they've at least had the conversation internally about, okay, what are some of their options? I think they'll give them this weekend, and if it doesn't kick in, then we'll be looking at a change. And the good news is it's really hard to get any worse. And if their power play gets going, I just think there's a chance this team could really go on a stretch, because the one thing that's been pretty consistent has been their 5-on-5 play, outside the first 3 games of the year. I think their 5-on-5 play has been really good at both ends of the ice. They haven't finished like they'd like, but they played well. And if you can get your power play going, then usually what will happen is you're going to get more 5-on-5 because those power play guys are going to feel a lot better about themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, if you can get kind of those units going, like what they say is, like, if you add both units, if you add the power play percentage and your penalty kill percentage, and if you're above 100, then you've done well. That's a pretty average unit. That's a pretty good unit. I think the Oilers, you add those two, I think they're at 85 or something like that this season. So they're well below that 100 threshold. So they got to get at least one of them going. At least get one of them going. But this team usually it should be at least 25% power play efficiency team. They can't be down at the 15 area where they are right now. They got to be more efficient that way. But you're right. The success of the Oilers has been on their special teams, because 5-on-5, yes, they play well, they do what they have to do, but then the success comes when you get 1 or 2 power play goals a night, and that's tough to defend. And right now they're not getting those 1 or 2 power play goals a night, and think that's why they probably are where they are in the standings right now. They get those 1 or 2 goals a night, they're probably up a little higher in the standings, probably challenging for the top of the division. So, but yeah, they have confidence that it'll come around, but I think eventually you do have to make some tweaks and some changes and try and jumpstart it. And you're right, if they can get that jump started, if they can get playing better on a power play or penalty kill, then it's going to benefit their 5-on-5.
We did see Victor Arvidsson not on the ice, but around the locker room today, and he's moving normal. And Chris Knobloch has said that, hey, if it was the playoffs, he'd be playing. But it's been a few weeks now, and at what point does it become a bigger concern, or is it already a bigger concern for you when it comes to Arvidsson and his injury?
You know what? He's a smaller guy that plays a really big game. And so I think maybe that the body kind of he's maybe prone to a bit more injuries, because he plays such a forechecking, relentless forechecking game. He's always in on the forecheck, so he plays a hard game, but he's not a very big guy. So you got to wonder, is this something that is just going to go away, or is this something that he has to play through? It's not a concern yet, but if it gets into another week, 10 days, and it's still not healthy and he's still not back, this is a guy that had injury issues when he was with the Los Angeles Kings. He missed 3/4 of a season once. So it's always about coming in here. He always talked about, if I can stay healthy, if he can stay healthy, and that's always an issue with some guys that are a bit injury prone. If they can stay healthy, they can be really good contributors to the team. And I think that's the key for him right now. He only played 18 games for the Kings last year, so he wasn't healthy last year. So the Oilers got him thinking, okay, he's a very valuable player, a very good player. He can serve us well, but that doesn't help if you can't get in the lineup and if you're always hurt. So I think right now they're looking at it going, okay, we're still in November. We're turn the calendar into December. But if we get into January and February and he still has some injury issues, I think that's when it really becomes a concern.
I'm guessing they'll call up Drake Caggiula before the weekend, and he'll play on the fourth line. Capita and Orion didn't skate today. They've got the cold/flu, whatever, going through the team right now. The coach had it, joking he doesn't get any days off, but, they'll have today off. They'll have tomorrow off. Then they play Thursday. It's more so the rest factor because outside of San Jose, no other team in the West has played more games than the Edmonton Oilers. And you look at Calgary and you look at Vancouver and LA and Vegas, none of them have really pulled away. Like the Oilers have been okay, right? Above average, but not great. But they're not really in a bad position, funny enough.
No, you're right. It's because the division doesn't have a team that's lights out. Like, can you imagine if they were in the Central and you're trying to reel in Winnipeg, trying to reel in Minnesota? That'd be a little different. So here in the Pacific Division, you got Vegas. They're playing probably the best hockey of anyone in the division, but they haven't been lights out either. They've stumbled here and there. Calgary surprisingly is playing well. They're playing above themselves. I think everyone's kind of expects them to come back down to earth. Will Dustin Wolf come back down to earth? Will some of those guys that are contributing at the bottom end of the lineup, will they come? Will those contributions stop? The Kings are hanging around, but yeah, the Oilers, they're still there. They're still fighting for the division because it's not that strong of a division. I think going into the year, people didn't expect it to be that strong a division. They thought Edmonton might have just a kind of a cakewalk in that division because Vegas was supposed to take a step back. Los Angeles was there, but they weren't sure what was going to happen with the Kings. Vancouver, I think they played above themselves a little bit last year. Then you had Seattle, Anaheim is still rebuilding, San Jose is still rebuilding. So they still had some teams that weren't very strong in that division. So everyone thought, well, if the Oilers don't win that division, there's something wrong. But yeah, they haven't played very well. They haven't played very consistent. We talked about consistency today with a couple of guys in the room. And then I think that's what the Edmonton wants. They want to be a more consistent team, but they just got to start stringing some wins together here. They put a little streak together, and they'll be right back at the top of that division.
Lastly, what do you make about the? Because I know you're a big soccer guy. The Whitecaps firing of their coach, and also the ongoing saga that seems to be never ending regarding Bev Priestman and the women's soccer program.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at the Whitecaps firing because, I thought this is a guy that's going to be sought after. He won't be unemployed for long, from my understanding, in the MLS. He's a really good coach. So, but, expectations are high out in the West Coast there when it comes to soccer. And then, he obviously did meet them. And then with the Canadian soccer, this is the latest saga in Canadian soccer because they've had issues for the last 20-some years. There's been something going on with Canadian soccer. And this seems to be like one thing after another. Like the women's program almost went on strike. The guys went on strike. They were arguing about prize money. It's just the organization is a dysfunctional organization when it comes to Canada soccer. It's run by well-intentioned people, but they don't do a good job. They don't know what they're doing. And I think you can say that kind of for soccer in general around the country. Everyone's pulling in different directions. But this saga, this is something that embarrassed the Canadian Olympic Committee. And I think that's, they're probably a bit better organized than the Canada soccer is. And I think that's what kind of really was the catalyst, is that it happened in an Olympic tournament. I think if this happens at Women's World Cup qualifying or some CONCACAF tournament, it would have gone away by now. But I think it happened in the Olympics, and it was such a big stage. And I think, right now it's going to be that, it was her fault, it was his fault. He told me, we inherited it from this guy. So now the finger pointing starts, and it's always someone else's fault, and no one seems to want to take the blame for it and the rap for it. And the guy that may have started the whole thing, he left the program. He's with Toronto FC now. So, and then that's another thing. Like eventually,
I don't think he's going to last much longer there. I kind of get the sense they're going to be like, this isn't. There's too much negative feedback for them, even at that level. So it is kind of. It's like soccer. There's always a lot of drama in soccer. DVD. If there's no drama in soccer, it's not really soccer. So it seems like Canada's catching up to the drama of soccer.
Yeah, for sure it is. It's all over the world. There is drama in soccer. And Canada's right in there with it.
Thanks, DVD. Have a good one, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Spec will join us next here on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And you also get your text. You got any questions, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Your partner in power since 1975. EWEL for all your electrical gear.
I'm Gene Principe for Legacy Heating and Cooling. Some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your muddy ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems working right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no principal payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Diablo Boots in Canada West. 2 great names in working cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing, when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has working cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Hurry in today for best selection.
Albertans are always on the go for work, for play, and from downtown to wide open spaces. Nobody keeps Albertans moving like Denham Ford. They've delivered the service and value buyers want for over 65 years. Now, for a limited time, enjoy cash savings up to $16,000 or rates as low as 0% during Denham Ford's Black Friday blowout. Keep life moving courtesy of where cars always cost less. Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $10,104 off select 2024 Sierra 2500 AT4 models. Make loading easier than ever with the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. Make hauling easier than ever with up to 14 available camera views, including transparent trailer view. And make finding tunes easier than ever with a class-leading 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. Yeah, let's get to work. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Day afternoon. Please turn your lights on. Remember, auto doesn't mean your rear lights are on. Just get your lights on. Make it safer for everybody, okay? It's getting dark out. Getting dark out sooner. Lights on. Better chance of warning the person in front of you. All right? No one wants to be in a fender bender. No one wants to be in a real accident. So, simple solution. Lights on. Lights on. Maybe we should just get like a bumper sticker. Although that wouldn't really help. Somebody have to have it so the people, like, it's got to be in front of them. Hey, idiot, turn your lights on. Maybe that's too harsh. Not sure. I'd come up with something. Well, somebody come up with a better bumper sticker than that. Clearly. Find the guy who came up with the smiley face. Killed it. Killed it. Very simple. So one of you does it, we'll promote it. Think about it. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. And they always remind you, hey, you know what, get your lights on for sure, but also go through construction areas respectfully. They all want to get home just like you. They got kids, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends. Let them get home safe from GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us. Spec, are you getting new goggles?
Yeah, I just was getting some new glasses. Exactly what I was doing. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
So if you could have one of these two things, what would you choose? Everybody, when it gets dark, doesn't have their lights on auto, but has them on actually on.
Mm-hmm.
Or B, Gary Bettman starts every hockey game when he says he's going to start every hockey game. What would you choose?
Really pissing me off here, Spec. I will go with the lights, because at the end of the day, the random start times is annoying as hell, but doesn't hurt anybody. So I will go with the lights.
Okay.
I'll go with the
I've been
lights.
listening to your show for a long time.
I know.
Those are both recurring
They
themes.
are. And the thing is, Spec, they're both very fixable. That's the problem.
Yeah,
very easily fixable. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes them most annoying.
Yeah, but
Jake.
and the thing is, though, at least no one lies to my face about the lights. I don't have somebody say, no, the lights are all on. Right? It's still. I remember asking Gary about, no, all our games start at this time, and I was like, do you think I'm an idiot? Like, it says at NHL.com right on your website where the game times they actually start. Like, God, that still is the thing that annoys me the most about the count. Like, God. Anyhow,
Well,
that'll get me
I
fired
should've
up,
had-
Spec. I like it. You
I know.
bastard.
I should have bet like Rashog $10 that I could get you all fired up. I'd have been drinking for free. First one anyway.
Good luck trying to collect that. The Edmonton Oilers, man. Hey, Glenn Gulletson and the crew might be drinking a lot trying to figure out their power play, because like it's stunning, Spec, that it's not that they're not scoring. The last few weeks, like I would say their power plays looked worse the last few weeks because they're not even generating many good chances.
No, I think what we've seen is their habits of the way they, how does they score the most? The Leon Draisaitl one-timer is probably number one. And that's generally a cross seam, cross ice pass for McDavid. McDavid comes in, he pulls everybody to the left, he throws it back to the right.
Yeah.
They're taking that away.
Yep.
Teams are saying, you're not beating us with that. You got to beat us with something else. Then there's Hyman. Probably the next most popular goal, certainly last year, was, Hyman in the crease, right? Just a hard pass. He banks in off his body or a stick. Well, that hasn't been going in this year, and that's been really pretty well taken away. And when they've got it, it's hitting Hyman and going out instead of hitting Hyman and going in. So my point is this. Teams have said to the Edmonton Oilers, you got to beat us with plan C, D, and E. And unfortunately, plan C has a lot to do with Nugent Hopkins, and plan C and D have a lot to do with Bouchard, who to date hasn't been getting his shots through, right? Hasn't got the shots through. Nugent Hopkins hasn't performed. So until those guys can make the PKs react to something they're doing successfully, they're just going to sit on plan A and B, and the Oilers power play is going to have to figure something out. They got to come up with a plan C that puts a puck in the net once in a while, Jay.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's it sounds easy, but hey, there's a reason why some teams have struggled on the power play. Now it's a little odd because in Edmonton they've got so much skill. You'd think like, hey, they'd figure it out, and they just haven't. And so the penalty kill made changes. Spec. They got some. They put Emberson in, put him beside Ekholm. Kind of the same pairing, right? Then I got Kulak and Nurse together, and they're working really well. Their forwards are back. Now, the difference was they didn't have all the exact same penalty killers, so I understand that. But they made changes, and it worked. At some point, and to me, I'm going to say this. I think they get the weekend, and then they're done. If their first unit doesn't get going this weekend on the power play, I think they're going to make changes by Vegas. Because how much longer can you wait? Like, you're going to have 2 days for in between game. Right? I don't think they have 2 days in between game for a while after that. So, you know what? You can work on it in practice and just say, hey, we're going to have to try something different. It's nothing personal, but we got to get some results.
Yeah, maybe or maybe you give you got it, like, it's up to Glenn Gulletson to decide, okay, if the PKs are shading towards Draisaitl, then something else is open, right? Something's open. Like, listen, it's 5-on-4. There's always something open. So if they're going to shade off and make sure Draisaitl doesn't get that one-timer, then it's up to Gulletson and that crew. There's 5 pretty smart power play cats on that group. It's up to them to figure out what's open, how do we exploit it, and then they got to execute it. You can't keep coming back with the square peg in the round hole. You know, I'm not telling you they need different guys. I don't know if I'm on your page on this one, Jay, but what they do need, if they're going to keep the same guys, they need some different habits. And right now, I'm not seeing a lot of different habits. No,
and that's fair, but I don't think you can just continually say we can never change. Like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, there's no way we can change him out. Like to me, at some point, it's like, man, it's 24 games coming up on 30% of the season. Like enough's enough. Like past is great, and it doesn't mean he can't go back to it. But at some point, I think you got to change it. And the personnel is the only change, because I think changing the habits, because right now, the way the teams are defending, they're giving the shots to Nugent-Hopkins and Bouchard. Now, maybe they can try in a few days to figure it out. But otherwise, let's put a shooter there. And one thing Skinner is he's a shooter. So if you put him there and all of a sudden now they have to defend that, well, then naturally that will open up some other lanes. Because now, if I'm a defending team, I'm like, guess what? We'll just keep, we see all the video. This is what's working. Okay, let's do it. And until they beat them with Nugent-Hopkins or Bouchard, I don't see how it's going to change.
Well, Nugent-Hopkins and Bouchard, they're two different things. Bouchard inexplicably can't get a shot through this year. I don't know why, because that was always something he was so good at. Yeah. That worm is going to turn. That's going to change. Okay. Nugent-Hopkins has scored a lot of goals, making that little, that coming downhill. And when there are no options, ripping a wrist shot from the edge of the circle. He scored a lot of goals doing that. He has a good wrist shot as long as it's not from 60 feet out. Like he can 25-foot wrist shot, he can beat you. So I think he needs some confidence. He's lacking in confidence like any player who's having a slump.
Yeah, agreed.
If I'm coaching that power play, I guess what I'm saying is and maybe you got to change eventually, but today and heading into this road trip, Jay, I'm telling Bouchard to figure, I'm giving him a chance to figure out how to get a shot through. And I'm showing some confidence in Nugent-Hopkins and saying, hey, work your way out of this thing. Fire more pucks, right? They're giving it to you. Shoot the puck. You got a good shot. And he does have a good shot. A nice wrist shot. He scored a lot of goals with it.
Fair. That's why I said I'd give him the weekend. And after that's 2 games, it's back-to-back. It's Friday, Saturday. And if it doesn't work, then you got 2 days before your next game in Vegas, and you can always alter it then.
Okay.
Yeah, the orders will come back. When they come out of this little break, they got a 3-game road trip. You can go 2-1 on that road trip. Then you set yourself up for a really good December, where you have a lot of games at home against some teams, San Jose, Ottawa, a few Columbus, that are teams that are very winnable games.
Yeah, Boston's coming through. They're not playing great hockey. No. I looked at the schedule today. Their December looks fantastic. So, this is a road trip, and it's a big game in Vegas. And the Oilers play great in Vegas.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They play great in Vegas. And even when they don't win, it's a 3-2 barn burner. I've been to a lot of games there and enjoyed pretty much every one of them. So that, to me, it's well scheduled. They have a couple in a row, Utah, Colorado, and they get a couple days rest before, a big game. Like, you don't want to give 2 points to Vegas. They're already 6 points up on you. So win a little bit on this trip, and you're right. You come home to a December where you could look awfully good on January 1st here if you have a good month. The schedule's set up for them, and in the new year, they get some travel here. There's certainly, I know when I look at all my trips, they're coming up in the second half. So, big December, sets up well at home. Lots of teams you can beat.
Quickly, Spec, do you think the Flames can keep this up, or eventually they're going to start to is their lack of scoring more than 3 goals going to catch up to them?
Yeah, listen, let the record show that I love what Frank Cervelli was saying, that they're going to make the playoffs. I don't agree with them. I think it would be freaking great. Like, nothing was better than Edmonton, Calgary. So I'd love for them to keep it up, but I've covered hockey for a long time, and those teams that have hot starts like that, then you're wondering how they're doing this. Why are they? How are you getting by without enough goals? How are you winning these games? No one expects you to win. It doesn't last 82 games. It usually doesn't last 40. So no, I think that they'll come back down to earth.
Spec, have a good day. We look forward to seeing the new spectacles on Spec.
Thanks, Jay.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back, wrap things up. We've got a lot of texts coming in. People fired up. What would you do on the power play? 833-401-1440. In our email inbox, 833-401-1440.
Vimy and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you are a student athlete interested in growing as both a person and a hockey player, visit vimyridge.epsb.ca or donnan.ca to register for a free shadow day. Beginner or an experienced player, these programs are designed to nurture and develop your skills in a positive and supportive environment. Vimy and Donnan help student athletes pursue their passion for hockey while achieving their academic goals. Register for a Vimy and Donnan Hockey Shadow Day today.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
It's Black Friday at the Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, shop incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m., like free local delivery on purchases over $4.99. Friday only, save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes, better job opportunities with our thriving economy, better chances for advancement, plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service, it's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular priced pizza when you use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Final countdown. Ooh, I like it. The final segment. I'm gonna have to start making that note every final segment. I love that. Good way to count it down. We got lots of texts coming in. 833-401-1440. Hey guys, the jerk store called and they run out of people like you who don't turn their lights on. Nailed it from Reed. So true, man. Hey guys, perhaps I'm out to lunch. My theory in the power play is that momentary pause allows the PK to adjust, get the puck on the net quicker, and things will change. Also, shoot the puck from Daniel and Blackfalds. Well, their shot per 60 is down significant. You can't debate that. They have been the number one shot volume team in the NHL for the last 3 years, and it's down significantly. And that does make a difference. I think that's valid. And I'm doing per 60 because they've had fewer power plays. That's another thing. I think maybe it's a little bit harder to get into a rhythm. If you're only having 1 or 2 a game, they definitely like to get up to 3 or 4. No question about it. But they've had some games lately. Like, look at Montreal. It was a 0-0 game. They had 3 power plays before Montreal scored. late in that last minute of the second period. So I think they could definitely get a few more. You know, they talked about wanting to get better on retrievals. I think they've done that, but it hasn't led to them. The one thing that they haven't been able to do is second and third opportunities that create chaos and force the penalty kill to get out of their structure. That's where they used to just absolutely obliterate teams, and they haven't been able to do that. So I think that's something that they have to look at for sure. Hey guys, what about Ekholm instead of Bouchard? Well, first of all, Ekholm wouldn't be ahead of Nurse on the power play. Nurse has actually been pretty good on the power play. And then, so if you have Bouchard, well, now you don't have any right shots. I don't know if going to all lefties is better. Like there's no one-time potential then on the left side of the ice anywhere. So I'm not sure that's like, if you're going to take Bouchard off, then you have to take Nugent Hopkins and put a right shot there. The problem is they don't have a lot of great right shots that would play that position. Arvidsson's maybe the only one, right? I don't see Connor Brown in that spot. I don't see Corey Perry in that spot. Right now, Jeff Skinner's a shooter, so you could try like Skinner to me in case of Nugent Hopkins if things don't go well this weekend. That's the easy change. He's a guy who's a shooter. He thinks the game, he sees the game, but he's a shooter. He's more of a shooter than Nugent Hopkins. And so, you know, it's one change. And because right now teams are giving up the shot from there more, then maybe put a shooter there. In an ideal world, they'd find a right shot. Right, get a right shot forward who could play in the power play. That's something that would be ideal. But they showed for many years you can do it with the three lefties in Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins. But just because you've done it, you know, for like that's a great run. So maybe you got to change something. Let's get to the 2-minute warning now with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where they never change the rates. No overtime charges. If all of a sudden your furnace conks out late tonight on the weekend, no OT. That's eligible Legacy at legacyheating.ca. Here's a 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town, cerebral palsy, he's in a wheelchair. But due to the wonders of technology, Tater's always wanted to be on radio, and now his words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
I think it's safe to say we've all done it. We've all had moments in our life when we've thought, and many other people, we would carry on right smack where we fell short by the slightest margin, one goal, and continue our journey right off where we left off. No problem. Right. But when things don't start the way we had thought they would, when our struggles are obvious, when we feel in our body and soul that something is missing, when what started as gentle whispers are now legitimate concerns and the volume is increasing, when a break, even a little break, could help us reset, focus, create new innovative ways to return to where we once were and to pass that. Over my life, I've had many of those, what I call learning experiences, and many times I would take the 4-hour drive to my family's cabin north of North Battle Ford, Jackfish Lake, where my dad was born. Those pilgrimages to Saskatchewan helped me in so many ways to refocus, evaluate, think of new ideas, to get back in my buggy and say it with me one time, try again, forgive the almost 200-word lead, but who's counting, right, Mr. Gregor? To get to my point, the Edmonton Oilers, there's a break in the action here, folks. After taking care of the New York Rangers Saturday night, Connor's crew do not play again until Friday in Utah against what's their names. And it could very well be an early Christmas gift from the National Hockey League scheduling department. Going to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final to games in September, October, and November is different, and perhaps it's safe to say few people recognized it. A learning experience, perhaps. The Oilers can use the break too, and I don't think this is too far out there. Reinvent themselves, not entirely, of course, but make certain changes to their game. I think other NHL clubs know and are defending against the Oilers because they know what the Oilers are doing. So perhaps Edmonton can use the time off to get better. And if anyone from the Oilers wants a great place to hang, call me. I'll get you the cabin key. 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Gregor Show, Monday, Friday, Sports 1440.
Yeah, we did play yesterday. That's why it's on a special Tuesday edition of the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. And he's right. The extra time off could help them for certain. You know, more film work for the coaching staff to look at and see, okay, hey, you know what? We don't have to rush. Because usually, you know, you get through a game on a Sunday, the next day's a practice, boom, now you're preparing for the other team. So you can take this extra time and use it to your benefit as a coaching staff. And so we'll see what do they come out with. You know, pretty bright guys. You got pretty high hockey acumen on their power play. Because I'll tell you, if their power play gets going, I won't be surprised at all to see the Oilers kind of start rocketing up the standings. Because think about it, like, look where they're at in the standings, and then look where they are in their power play. Like, their power play has been incredibly anemic, to just put it politely. Like, they're sitting at 26th, man. 26th. So 15%, like, brutal. The only good thing is they haven't given up a shorthanded goal. Or sorry, they haven't given up a shorty all year. That's the one benefit for their power play so far this season. On behalf of Connor Halley, Terry Ryan, Struds, Tater, and everybody who was on the show today, thanks everybody for listening. As always, we appreciate it. Tomorrow, special second edition. I know many of you loved it. We got a lot of great feedback. The Business of Sports at 4 o'clock with Rich Winter. We'll have a special guest. Some great stories. You're not going to want to miss that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. And I got a bevy of other guests coming up. So should be a jam-packed, loaded show tomorrow. On behalf of Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Stay warm. Turn your lights on. Let's get to the Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, ewel.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Calgary Stampeders have acquired quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. from the BC Lions. The Lions, in return, receive a second and fourth round pick in this year's draft, as well as the Stamps' second round pick in 2026. BC also sent their 2025 fourth rounder and 2026 third rounder to the Stamps in the deal. In the NHL, New Jersey Devils forward Timo Meier was suspended 1 game for cross-checking last night in their 5-2 win over the Preds. Meier received a 5-minute cross-checking penalty and a game misconduct on the play. On the ice tonight, 2 games underway, both at the first intermission, both scoreless. Canucks, Bruins, and Canadians in the Utah Hockey Club. In the association NBA Cup group play, the Bulls right now lead the Wizards 49-41 in the second quarter, and in the first, the Bucks on top of the Heat 24-16. Dame Lillard with 17 of the 24 points so far. Later tonight, Timberwolves host the Rockets, Spurs take on the Jazz, and it's the Suns welcoming the Lakers to the Footprint Center. And in the AJ, just 1 game tonight, the Calgary Canucks head to Canmore, taking on the Eagles. Puck drop just after 7. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio overnight, and then Kevin Carius, Brandon Douglas back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.